What we do here is go back.
Right, let's see if that is working. It might well be. Good evening everyone, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. I'm looking at the chat to make sure that everything is working, making sure that the audio is in sync. Hopefully it will be. You never know. I've had a little bit of a kerfuffle this week. Completely fresh install on the PC behind me, new processor, damn flies. And yeah, it's a brand new installation, so I've had to set everything up again from scratch. So hopefully, in theory, it should all work. I'm not entirely sure how long it will work for, but we'll see. And let's see if my other bits and pieces are working. So we had a super chat, or two super chats come in actually, whilst we were in our pre-stream situation, or configuration, or whatever it is. Sorry, brain's not working very well today. So hopefully, is that coming up on screen? Yes, it has, and it looks like it's worked. So I got £10 super chat from Mick Wood, says, "Hi Mike Calf and all you wonderful mubsters, looking forward to another live stream. A few bottles of Peroni on standby." Awesome stuff. There's another super chat come in from Stuart Cleary for €10. Says, "Fair play to Mike and Calf going ahead with the stream despite getting little sleep last night." Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It's just yeah. Usual thing, if you've got kids, you'll probably understand that you go through all sorts of things with them as they grow up into young adults. And it does keep you awake at night, it really does at times. So yeah, if I do look tired, it's because, well, basically I am. There's no other word for it. And there's another super chat from Mr. Bob, Ugly Bob. £10 says, "Disco, disco, disco." And yes, the audio is in sync.
I did the wrong way.
Fan dabby dozy, as little Jimmy Cranky would always say. So it looks good, looks good. Just go through the chat. A few things we can talk about tonight. Obviously, we've got a case to take a look at, which we will be doing, and having a bit of a teardown on that. Also, I want to talk to you about your Black Friday hopes and dreams. Have they been well and truly shattered? I'll be honest with you, mine have. I've bought technically one thing. No, actually, it's a lie. No, actually, during Black Friday, actually on Friday itself, I bought nothing. Well, apart from some yellow labelled stickered sandwiches from Co-op. But they're always good value. But as on Black Friday, there was nothing which actually took my fancy. I was very, very disappointed. Let me know in the comments section, were you disappointed with Black Friday? Has it been an absolute washout? For computing and tech nerds like myself, and possibly like you or people out there, it was rubbish. Absolute junk. There was a few things, the usual stuff, so a couple of SSDs, a couple of NVMe drives, okay-ish prices, nothing particularly outstanding. Graphics cards, I don't think there was anything there on offer really. Motherboards are probably getting more expensive. As we're talking, more than likely, there's very, very few deals on motherboards at the moment, which is very disheartening, because the motherboard clearly, other than the graphics card, is probably one of the main things when you're buying a system. Processors aren't getting particularly cheaper, so that also isn't particularly good news. So at the moment we're looking at possibly some cheap cases, cheap RAM-ish, and cheap storage. Other than that, everything else is yeah, still prohibitively expensive, which is never good. And I don't know, maybe I'm losing my enthusiasm at the moment for the whole kind of PC market. It just seems really lackluster, and being that there aren't those really cool deals so you can get yourself a nice little rig together for a reasonable price. I don't know, it just seems a bit disheartening. I think it all started, we had so much hype and so much anticipation with AM5 coming, and I suppose to some extent with 12th and 13th gen Intel, but with the price of DDR5, the price of motherboards, and the new processors aren't cheap, are they? Let's be fair. It's just been somewhat of a, like, if you're waiting to buy or build a system, and you're waiting for these launches, they've come and it's just been very meh. And I don't like that. I like to have something which I can get my teeth into, lots of new cool products at reasonable prices, so we can start building some stuff, testing it, seeing what it's all like. But it just doesn't seem to be happening. It's very disheartening, I would say, in my own personal opinion, but I'm interested to hear what you good people are thinking about it. We'll quickly go through some of your chats, which I've missed already. Paul Bakewell's in, and Ugly Bob says, evening y'all. You all. I've got someone else's teeth in tonight, I do apologise. Paul saying, good evening Bob. Jab 2016's with us. Matthew Day is frying. Said with a carry-on film cackle. Very good. No yellow stickers tonight. Who else we got there? Rick H is with us. David Aitkins with us. How you doing, David? David Underhill, the other David. I'm sure there's other Davids as well, but those are the two. Which I'm going to probably upset someone now, because there probably is. There's Dave Burns. That's another Dave. Anyway, I digress. David Underhill, morning from sunny downtown Australia. Well, downtown Bristol is anything but sunny. In fact, it's been windy and rainy and just generally shite for the last week or so. I'm not a big fan of the weather at the moment. But we've got the wood burner on. It is currently 24.2 degrees Celsius with a moisture rating of 60% humidity, which is kind of okay. Bit lower would have been nice, but hey, it is what it is. Time of year, damp. What can you do?
Damp and drizzly day at Scatterbrook Farm.
It was a damp and drizzly day at Scatterbrook Farm. If anybody knows where that is from, please let us know in the chat. It's something relatively famous if you're of a certain age. Anyway, William Bodie's with us, says morning to you all. Stuart Cleary says, hi Uggs, what's your poison of choice this Saturday? That is the burning question. Ordinary Dude's with us, says ready and waiting. Lucky Man says, bah hum.
Okay.
How you doing? How you doing, Lucky Man? Hopefully you're okay. I won't say any more, but hopefully you're okay. Ugly Bob says, well, this evening I will be mostly drinking red wine. A Malbec, in fact. I have no knowledge of wines whatsoever, other than calf whining on in the background when I'm not doing as I'm told. That is the wine that I'm mostly used to. It's got a very distinct pitch and very, not very palatable. Bless. Shane does it because I'm an idiot. Ugly Bob says, got time for a quick wee. Back in a minute. Thanks for that, Bob. I actually did the same thing before stream, so... And I did wash my hands, in case you're wondering. Safety first. John Sullivan's with us, says hello. Don't need the specifics. Ordinary Dude's got his i5 12600, just got delivered. Awesome stuff. Have I actually had a 12th gen processor? I'm trying to think now, I must have done. Or have I?
Ugly Bob got it.
I don't know if I did.
Scatterbrook.
Well done, Bob.
Did he have that talking book as well?
Ordinary Dude says it's the fastest CPU without E-cores, that's why I went with it. Yeah, I don't think I'm overly convinced about this whole P-core and E-core thing. I think it's more of that kind of, I don't know. In theory, you should be able to make your performance cores act as efficiency cores. If you're any good at engineering, that is one of those things which is one of the key things that you think, well, I've got a processor core, I want it to be blazing fast, but also I want it to have the option to go into some sort of low power state as well. And Intel, for some reason, have chosen to have two sets of processors, effectively. So, essentially kind of like the old-fashioned... I'm trying to think what they were called. They were the Z-series chips. I want to say Crusoe, but it's not Crusoe. But anyway, yeah, there was Intel chips which are kind of low Atom. Intel Atom. So they're basically based on the sort of old style Atom cores, so they're just low power ones, just chucked on there with it. It seems very weird. I don't like it. It confuses me. And I think it probably confuses most people because you look at to buy a processor or you look to buy a computer and you go into kind of like your Walmarts, your Newegg, Currys, PC World, that sort of thing. You look at the specs and generally they write down the core count and the memory and the RAM, that sort of stuff. And if you're just looking at raw cores, unless you know what it is you're actually looking for, and they specifically say P cores and E cores, and that's assuming that the buyer actually knows what the heck that is, I think people will be misled by that. But let me know what you think about that one in the comments. Welly Bob's with us, says warm welcome to everyone this fine evening. Well, the only thing fine about this evening was the rain. It was very fine rain. It wasn't actual rain. It was just like moisture blowing around in the wind. Just rain or don't rain. Do one or the other. Mookie MC says, I have a bottle of Mountain Dew and some assorted snacks ready for the big show. What? Is there football on tonight? We won't talk about football. At least we'll try not to. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure there was a game today that Argentina played, possibly. I don't know. I'm not really following it, I'll be honest with you. Mookie MC says, I based the like button on what fashion statement Mike is making. Well, let's make a fashion statement and let's upset James Brock at the same time and put on the Mike's Unboxing hoodie.
Hoodie.
Hat. Beanie. That's the one. Yeah, I knew it was one of those. Stuart says, Ugly Bob's he's having a few Carlsbergs. Do you know what? I haven't had a beer in such a long time. I really should do, really. Anyway. Aletta has come out with a very modern statement here. Really, an Aerocool case? Is that what I shave my nads for? There's so many questions I've got there, which I just don't know where to start, so I think it's probably best I don't, because I'll get myself into trouble. Anyway, moving on. Welly Bob says, don't drink too much. It's evil to change your mindset. Very, very possibly. Very possibly. Nick Byron says, hi, Mike, Kath, and everyone. How you doing, Nick? Hopefully you're having a wonderful Saturday evening. Or, I'm not sure. Is Nick in the UK? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I shouldn't say that really, but yeah. I forget where people live, I really do. I forget where I live sometimes. I don't go out very often, so it's easy to lose track of where I live. Ah, yes. Sorry, Kath's pointing to the wall of lies. It's not the wall of lies, it's the our little chart to say who we've sent stuff to or what we've got going on. And looking at that, George and Angel both owe us a lot of money. Kids. Hopefully I'll see that back. Anyway, Aletta says, what do the movie Sixth Sense and Titanic have in common? I see dead people. Is someone kidnapped Aletta and taken over her keyboard? And her NAS. Wall Bill's with us and says, good evening, Mike, Kath and others. Who else we done? I think I've said all of them. Wall Bill says, all good. Chris Goddard's with us. How you doing? Jay's Beers, how you doing? I'll try and fast forward through these a little bit. Jim's Tech, how you doing? Mark Berry. He says, I think my son's Chromebook has one of those Intel Atom CPUs. Yeah, the Intel Atoms, when they came out, there was Acer got really involved with them, and there was the Acer Revo, and these were like little square set-top box type things almost, and little tiny square PCs, almost lozenge shaped, I suppose you'd call them, on a little white stand. And they had the Intel Atom processor, so it was, I can't remember whether it was 4 cores and no threads, or 2 cores and 2 threads, and 2 cores and 4 threads rather. It was kind of like a quad-core-ish type chip. Run very efficiently, and they put weirdly with it the GeForce, I can't think which GeForce it was. There was a specific GeForce type graphics card. So it was an NVIDIA graphics card, but it wasn't anything, it was a kind of dedicated one, but it wasn't, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it was a very unusual little PC. I had about 8 of them for projects that I was working on, and they lasted for a long time actually, and they put up with the abuse of the TV crews and stuff for a long time. So yeah, they were okay. Jad 2016 says, yeah, Messi just scored for Argentina about a minute ago. Who are they actually playing? I have no idea. Mookie MC says the Mike's Unboxing shirt and beanie are a bit exotic and unexpected, but you still got to like. Thank you. William Bodie says, what does NADS mean? Those are your little fellas down there. Your little love eggs, let's say. There we go. That's how to get my my channel banned. Ugly Bob said yes. NADs are testicles. Thanks for that. Jers 1987. I bought a Ryzen 5600. Nice upgrade from a 1600 AF. Yeah, I bet that was a noticeable upgrade. Much more nimble, let's say. Greg says, hi Mike, good to see you review products normal people buy. Hope you're good. Actually, I'm going to go off on one now a little bit. Thank you for saying that. I watched Linus Tech Tips live stream from yesterday, and there was somebody in the chat who said they were a bit dismissive about Linus Tech Tips and saying that he's not real world and he does all this like ultra expensive stuff. And Linus got super defensive on it. And then he was going through his videos to say like what was reasonably priced. And I think the most reasonably priced thing they had was about a £600 PC. So in terms of for Linus and obviously the world that he revolves in, a £600 PC probably to him is like rock bottom budget. But for a lot of people in the world, myself included, that ain't a budget PC. That is a mid-range or luxury PC. Sorry, there's lots of flies in here. I think we've got some rotting bananas or something. Anyway, so yeah, Linus got really upset and said, oh, if you don't know what you're talking about, I don't know what to say to you, blah, blah, blah. This is, all our stuff is about budget. And it's like, you're really still not getting it. It really, I think that is the problem now, because he is so wealthy and he's surrounded by all this super expensive stuff that he doesn't realise there is people out there that don't want to spend more than £100 on a processor, or won't spend more than £100 on a graphics card, or want to pay £30 for a PC case. Rather than, it seems that most YouTubers, for want of a better word, seem to think that £100 for a case is a budget case or a normal thing. When did that become a thing? When did it become a thing that £100 for a PC case is normal? To me, that is a luxury. An extreme luxury. It really is. Most people, I think, from me, my own experiences, and from looking at your chats and the videos we make, etc., cases between £30 and £60 seem to be the kind of that sweet spot. Now, of course, there's people that will spend more. I get it. It's your hobby, your passion, etc. Spare income, you put it into it. But for most people who just want to get on, build a PC, play some games, £30 to £60 on a case is the norm, in my opinion. So, yeah, I had to get it off my chest, because I do think that Linus and a lot of other YouTubers are completely off base when it comes to pricing. They really are. I don't think they are living in the same world as you and I. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, I don't know. Let me know, sound off in the comments. It's a good discussion point. I think it does highlight very, very well, actually, that there is becoming in society a big divide. And it's very much becoming us and them. Them that can afford really expensive stuff, and there's those of us that are happy to not spend that amount of money. Anyway, let's move on from there. I don't want to dwell on it too much. I just wanted to get off my chest. Jim's Tech says, Mike finally retired my 3900X and went for a 13700K 16 core. Very nice indeed. And actually, I finally retired my Ryzen 5 3600, which was in the streaming PC. And this is actually part of my dilemma as well this week, which is why I've been waiting for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I've finally taken my Ryzen 9 3900 and put it into the streaming PC, because I am starting to do more of it. I am recording some footage in 4K, so having a little bit of extra grunt, some extra cores in there. And we have had a few streams where things have gone a little bit weird. I wasn't entirely sure whether it was because I was running out of resources or whatever it was. Anyway, so I've put that processor now in there. I've got my 5800 in my editing PC. The 3600 will go into a PC which I'm going to sell on. So then I still need a processor for doing my testing and benchmarks. I was hoping to go with the AM5 processor for testing and benchmarks, but because of the price of the motherboards, I cannot and will not justify doing that. So I'm actually looking for suggestions actually from you guys. What processor or processors would you think are going to be suitable for doing benchmarks going forward for things like AIOs, processor, coolers, those sorts of things where it's kind of performance based? What would you use? I'm actually tempted to get another 5800 or maybe a 5700 or maybe a 5900 and put that in my video editing PC and put the 5800 as a test processor. I don't know. Just some thoughts that have been going around my head. I suppose if there's a really good deal that comes along, that will kind of make up my mind for me. And I'm actually a little bit gutted that I didn't pounce on the Ryzen 5 5800X, which was available from Amazon for £180. Stupidly, I posted the deal, but I'd never bought one. Because I think, well, there's no point, I've got one. But now things have moved on, I'm thinking I should have bought one. But anyway, yeah, it happens. Mark Barry says I bought a 5600 to replace my son's 2600, £135 new. The 5600 has turned out to be a very, very capable processor, and at round about the £130 mark, I think is, again, excellent value for money, and is, you could put a 5600 in pretty much any system, and it will be very happy for video editing, for gaming, general work purposes, research, whatever it is. It's a very capable processor. You don't really need much more than that, to be fair. Some people like to have more than that, but I don't think we really need to. Nicholas Barlow's with us. Says good evening everyone. How you doing, Nicholas? John Sullivan says that is Linus in a nutshell, completely out of touch. It is and it isn't. Watching their stream today, they were talking about the kind of, what's the word they use? The dystopian nature of computing and where we're going with subscription services and AI, cameras watching you when they shouldn't be, photo recognition, that sort of stuff, dystopian type future which we're heading into. And it seems that Linus and Luke were fully aware that that is, well, I don't know if they're fully aware, but they're starting to see the penny drop that that is what is happening. We are getting to this kind of weird software as a service, everything is a subscription. Hell, look at it, like YouTube members, that's a subscription. Patrons, that's a subscription. It's helping us out and helping out other creators, but it's all going towards that same thing. Prime, Amazon Prime, a subscription service effectively. You subscribe every year or every month for a certain amount of money to get free postage or whatever. It's just another one of those things. And now to say that there is an electronic car from Mercedes which is fully capable of doing sort of rocket speeds, but it will not allow you to do it unless you pay a $1,200 subscription fee yearly to unlock the full capability of your vehicle. And that is definitely the way we're heading. And it sucks. I appreciate that they want a ongoing income stream. Look at Netflix. Look at YouTube Premium. Look at other streaming services. They could, I suppose, just charge a one-off fee, but they won't because they want that continual
Adobe.
revenue. Yeah, Adobe is an excellent example. They could just sell the software package and say, there, that's your software package. You'll get 3 updates, 4 updates, whatever. And then that's it.
No, but it's not cheap. You'd expect to get more than that.
Yeah,
Cheap,
it's a lot of money for what it is, but subscription as a thing is becoming more and more.
Like phone contracts.
And it's phone contracts is another one. Like you pay ridiculous amounts of money for a phone via a contract, and you think, oh great, £60 a month, and I get this iPhone 14. You work out how much that £60 a month is over the 3-year contract, plus your calls, etc., and other things. It all adds up, and you're probably spending the same amount of money anyway. Anyway, let's get off that topic because it's too depressing. It really is. Mr. Hydrated M, what's the highest highest GPU I can use in a B450F motherboard? There isn't really a limit to what you can use in there. You can use anything up to the very latest, the greatest 4090s. Whether or not it's going to be beneficial to that platform is another matter altogether, really. There isn't a great deal of difference between PCI Express Gen 3 and Gen 4 at present. Most cards won't saturate the bandwidth or the bus transport speeds, so there isn't really limitation as such. Although some would argue it would make more sense to use a B550 or higher, seeing that you may be using PCI Express Gen 4 if you're buying the latest and greatest video card. Anyway. Chris Hartford says, I don't watch Linus. Too many 300k servers, 200k networks, totally irrelevant. There is a market for it, and it is kind of interesting to see it, but you only have to look at his home. That is an astonishing house. And the fact that he's got his pool and he's water cooling his pool with his PC hardware, that kind of gives you some inclination of how far off the reservation he is. Anyway, Dutch Jan says Linus is all about money. He is a businessman ultimately, so I can't really give him too much stick for that. Ultimately, we all want to make money. He is a businessman, so... But, yeah, I understand what you're saying. John Sullivan says I unfollowed him and Jay ages ago, refused to watch him. My colleagues at work loves Linus and knows nothing about computers. Yeah, I'm not as bad as that. I still do watch Linus. I do find some of the content interesting, and I do sometimes get some ideas from it and kind of work if they're doing some sort of thing, and I maybe think, well, how can I do that, but with a lot less money. Some of it is genuinely quite interesting, so it's also nice to hear his thoughts, so I can reflect on that to gauge like how far out of touch am I? Am I the opposite end of the spectrum, where I'm living in the past, where people spent little money on a PC and were happy with it? Should I be moving forward into that place where people take out loans for processors? I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm in the wrong. I don't know. Maybe there's not a wrong or a right, and it's just personal preference. Stuart Cleary says I bought a 5800X3D last month for €350 still in the box. I'm still running a 3700X, too busy working to fit it. Get it installed. Get it installed. Blazing Hardware says cloud-based life. That is definitely becoming a thing. Insomniac Brit, should I buy the Johnsbow D40? Ha ha ha. No. You definitely shouldn't. The Johnsbow D30 and the D40, and soon I think the D20, are all effectively the same as the Gamemax Spark. There's a Spark ATX which will be coming out soonish. The Spark is the Micro ATX, and I think there's going to be a Spark Mini, which may be the ATX version. Don't quote me to that, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, we'll see. Lucky Man 1 says, renewed subs, so now try redo Discord after M.2 fail. Oh, that's horrendous when a drive fails. Good reason to have a NAS and a backup. It does save your bacon. It did with me, actually, with that system. Yes, Gav?
As you're a bit behind, Resears, I think that's how you say it. Where's the best place to buy used CPUs? I'm trying to buy...
I've got it.
Alright.
I got it, thank you. Where's the best place to buy used CPUs? I'm trying to buy a i7-600A array upgrading from a i5. At the moment, really, something like that would probably be CEX would be a good shout. CEX here in the UK. I think they have CEX actually in other countries as well now, from what I've been told. So that's always worth looking at. Some of their new stuff and some of the AMD stuff, especially kind of the last maybe 3 years processors, the prices are all out of whack because AMD's had some price crashes and it's affected the market. CEX's systems haven't caught up because they're still charging the prices kind of pre and post-COVID prices, which are a little bit inflated. They were really good at one point, but they are starting to look a little bit on the sus side. But for some older stuff, like the 6700 or the 7400, that sort of stuff, very likely you'll find a good deal. Otherwise, you're going to be the usual things like Craigslist, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, that sort of stuff. But then it is taking a bit of a risk. Blake Ancliffe says, stop jiggling, Mike. Looks like you're cracking one out under the desk. Look, my hands. I don't know what it is. This chair is just really uncomfortable tonight. I can't keep still. It's really annoying me. Jonathan Roberts says CEX are a rip-off. They are at times. I'll be honest with you, they are at times. I would say they are worth a look. I've actually spent, not a considerable amount, but I've spent a reasonable amount of money with them. And actually I've sold off some stuff to them as well. And their prices aren't bad. They're not always good, and they're not always awful. They're kind of relatively constant. It depends what it is you're after.
Neil Hunter.
Neil Hunter. Just wanted to say thank you, Mike. Your channel helped me with a budget build for my friend's 13-year-old this week. Especially the Colink Sysdel Mesh RGB case and the Umbra ARGB CPU cooler. Nice one, Neil. That's excellent. Yeah, the Colink Sysdel Mesh is awesome. I do love that case. I'm still using the ATX version actually for my daily driver on my PC down there. Although I do have, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this or not. I suppose I am, but I'm not really. I am under a non-disclosure agreement with Thermaltake. At present, there is a very, very, very nice case underneath the desk, which I cannot show you at the moment. All I will say, it is, if you know anything about Thermaltake, they have series of PCs cases. So like the 100 case would be quite small, a 300 would be a little bit bigger, 500, 700, 900, etc. So there's a new 500 series case coming out, and it appears to have addressed every single issue that I've ever had with Thermaltake cases in terms of the RGB, the airflow, the build, and the price. So the NDA expires in January, which is going to drive me mad because it's down there and I want to use it. But so that will be coming soon. Yes, Kat?
Raz Gaming.
Raz Gaming. Raz Gaming, where is that?
Not too far up.
Raz Gaming. My nephew has started streaming. Poor sucker. Do you think the 3950X would be a bit overkill for someone new to streaming stroke content creating? Got a huge deal, been offered one for 350 sealed. It probably is, but it probably isn't at the same time. Depends what it is you're streaming, the settings, whether you're going to be streaming 1080p, 60 frames per second, possibly even 4K, 30 frames per second maybe. It's, yeah, for 350, that sounds pretty good. I've not been keeping an eye on the 3950 pricing, to be honest with you. I would be normally looking at the 3900X or the 5900X, because the extra 50 for me, kind of the extra 4 cores, not really something that I need. So, I don't know, 350 new sealed. It would be useful having a lot of cores, to be fair. It would be. And it is a fantastic processor. But, yeah, I wouldn't say it's... I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I wouldn't say it's not perfect. It's somewhere. It's a very weird somewhere in between. I think, yeah, 3950. If I had the choice, then I would probably get it. But 350 quid, you could always look at something like the 5800X, possibly even the 5800X 3D, or even the 5900X, which is going to have better single core performance and more performance per core for a similar amount of money. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. That is a tough one. John Sullivan says, I would sell to CEX. I would never buy from them. Yeah, I'm quite happy to do either. There's going to be the odd thing which, like, you've seen some of the shorts we've done where they've sent processors not wrapped very well and they've been absolutely annihilated in transit. On the flip side of that, though, we've had some really good stuff come through, which has been really well packaged and has been extremely cheap and saved me a ton of money. So,
and it's all worked so far.
Yeah, to be fair, actually, everything they've sent out has actually worked. So
A few pins to be straightened, but
yeah, other than a few bent pins. Research says, oh yeah, just check CX, they're 60 quid, do you think it is worth it?
people.
To be honest with you, when it comes to 6th and 7th gen Intel, I am so out of touch with it, I really couldn't say. To be honest with you, sorry, I'd need to look into it a little bit more. What else we... V-Shot says 550 watt 80 plus bronze is enough for a 12400 and a 6700 XT. It probably is. You're getting very close to the limit there. It depends what bronze it is. If you think a bronze is going to be only about realistically 80 to 85% efficient, so take off 10%, so that takes you down to a 500 watt. You're going to be close to the edge. It will do it, it will work, but yeah, you are getting towards the top end of what you can do. Mookie MC says, tell us about the case, we will sign an NDA if you need us to do so.
You where?
I would love to. Honestly, I would love to get it out now and take a look at it and show you how cool it is, but I'm not allowed to. And also, actually, I'm waiting on some other parts because there are some other parts which are used with it which hasn't arrived yet. So they're winging their way from Germany. So we'll have to find out what that's all about. I will, as soon as I'm able to, you will be the first people to see it. David Aikens says 3950X for streaming, wouldn't bother, just get a 5700X. Yeah, most games really nowadays don't utilise more than maybe 4 to 6 cores if you're lucky. So even with the 8 core 16 thread, you're still going to have a little bit left over in the tank. The more important thing for the streaming PC is going to be your graphics card choice, because that is going to be taking obviously your game and also potentially streaming your output as well. Mark Berry says, if I was buying tech from CX, I'd go to the local store and save getting bad packaging and bent pins. That's not a bad idea, actually. Although, there are some people like me who don't like going outside into the real world. In which case, you do rely quite heavily on the postal service. Paul Bakewell says it's a 2-year warranty. That's great with CEX. There is a 2-year warranty with CEX, although it isn't always as quite a good a warranty as you first imagine. Well, depending on what it is, some things they'll just swap out. So if they've got lots of them, say a set of Sony headphones or something, which they have a lot of, chances are they'll just send you another set. If it's something which is no longer available, they will give you the market value of what that product is worth as a refund or exchange vouchers. So it's not always going to be a particularly good deal on the 2-year warranty. It does give you a level of security that you don't get with eBay and stuff. It's swings and roundabouts. Yes.
Kai Gaming.
Kai Gaming. Hello, I'm trying to get a new PC for Christmas. Good luck. And build it at home. Even more luck. I have a $550 budget and I'm wondering if you could review it and maybe give some tips. The build includes keyboard, mouse and monitor. Yeah, you might want to post if you've done a PC part picker list or something, post it onto our Discord chat in the PC room, and yeah, we'll have a look, see what the deal is there. $550 budget, that's going to be, it's going to be possible, but you're going to do some, you have to do some clever purchasing there, and you will most likely need to make some medium adjustments. Things I would say on that, if just as a general rule of thumb, if you're building a PC, there are some things which are much easier to swap out at a later date. So if it means skimping on one thing, going with another, things to skimp on to begin with, keyboard and mouse, both of those, so easy to swap out at a later date. So if it's the difference between you buying a better graphics card or a better keyboard and mouse, ditch your keyboard and mouse. Just get something cheap and cheerful. Buy one from a second-hand shop if you need to, but put that money towards your graphics card, your processor, potentially your motherboard, because those are the things that are going to be difficult to swap out or a pain in the ass to swap out later on. And always, if you buy a graphics card, it's unlikely you're going to get the full value of it back if you need to swap it out. So you're going to be taking a hit on that if you need to upgrade it. So upgrade where it makes sense now, if you're on a budget, and do the other stuff later.
They have an eBay list because they find it cheaper, is that okay?
Oh, right, yeah, that's fine, yeah. Stuart Cleary says he's probably naked from the waist down. No, I do have my jogging bottoms on. Adam Drape says you'll be fine this time of year, your head won't get burnt. That's true.
Get frostburn.
Get frostburn on my head. Adam Drape says that's a tight budget. That is a pretty tight budget, to be fair. $550 for keyboard, mouse and a monitor. You might be really lucky and be able to pick up... Actually, that is one of the few things I did buy this Black Friday holiday weekend, was actually a monitor. I bought a 22-inch monitor from a new weird brand, which appears to be almost an Amazon own brand. It's called Corsair or something. And it was a 22-inch HDMI 1080p VA panel with 75 Hz refresh for £55. Brand new, with a 3-year warranty. Which I thought, that's got to be rubbish. So I will be doing a review on that. That's on its way in. And we'll see how crap that actually is. Yes, Kath?
Can you confirm that the eBay list is okay?
What do you mean, can I confirm?
Can you just say it out loud?
Yeah, eBay list will be fine. Just post some links or a screenshot of what it is you're planned on. An eBay list is probably not a very good way of doing it, because obviously eBay is auctions. So if you make a list of eBay stuff, it's either going to get sold or will go up in price. So if you find something and it's got more than 3 hours left on it, the price is going to change. It really is. So if you find something cheap on eBay, if it isn't a buy it now, expect to be disappointed, because it will go up in price.
Scratching and kicking that box.
Right, where did I get to? Michael Craig, actually, I'll answer that one first of all. Any decent uplift in upgrading a 3700X to a 5700X? Are there any significant gains, or are the gains minimal? They will be minimal gains, to be fair. If you've already got a 3700X, really you'd probably be looking, if to see a noticeable jump in performance, you probably want to go either 5800, 5800X 3D, or depending what you're doing, maybe even go into a 12 core up from an 8. But if you're only gaming, then you're not going to see any difference at all. It's a really tough position to be in, and I've been mulling over these things myself a lot recently. Like having a 3900X in that PC, I could quite easily swap it out with a 3700X and probably not notice any difference whatsoever. And the same for my other PC with a 5800 in there. I could probably swap out for the 3900 or the 3700 and still probably not notice it. And there's a lot of money to be saved potentially as well. So yeah, it's a very confusing thing to do. The performance lift is generally something that you'd see in a benchmark. You're unlikely to feel it unless you go quite a few, well, maybe 2 generations or so. Blake says, if the budget is tight, use a TV for the monitor and pump it into the PC. Yeah, that's also a very good idea.
Is the Aerocool Lux power supply good?
Ah, right. I'll be honest with you, the Aerocool Lux I have never ever heard of or seen or used. So I have no idea whatsoever. Aerocool do make some weird and wonderful power supplies. They do the Cylon, which is their like bottom of the range. Then they do the integrators. They're okay-ish. And then they do some other other range, which I can't remember the name of. But the integrators are okay. To be honest with the Cylons, I've used a lot of them, and I've had an extremely low failure rate. And someone actually commented on one of the videos saying that they'd bought somewhere in the region of 50 or 60 of them, and maybe had 5 of them fail. And I actually thought that was pretty good, because failure rate on power supplies is actually surprisingly quite high. So yeah, well, it's not ideal. If you bought 60 and 5 failed after, I think he said it was a year or so, yeah, you kind of do wonder. Captain Meets Adventure says, is there a suspender belt underneath the jogging pants? Sadly not. No. Mark Barry says, my son wants a Razer Huntsman Mini for Xmas. Good keyboard. Not had a chance to look yet. We did a review on it actually, because William Bodie sent one over. I'll be honest with you, 60% keyboards I struggle to use because of being left-handed, especially for gaming, because I want to use my right hand arrow keys. That is what I do, and because 60% hasn't got arrow keys, if you're right-handed, I think it's going to be absolutely fine. Also, it's a muscle memory thing as well. If you're used to a full-size keyboard, you've also got kind of like your insert, delete keys and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to get used to. It's genuinely hard to get used to. But in terms of an actual keyboard and the keystroke and the key switches, yeah, it's freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. The touch, the feel, the stability and all that is just, yeah, it's a bonkers keyboard. It really is. I think that was the same. Bob sent over the full-size one, which we reviewed because he bought it for himself. And yeah, it's just, yeah, they're just bonkers, the key switches. Neil Hunter's come in with a £10 super chat. Thank you very much, Neil. Much appreciated. You didn't say anything, but thank you anyway. Silence is a wonderful thing.
That means thank you.
No problem.
No, Flamey, hold on.
Barry Cartwright, my monitor stopped working back in August, so I had to buy a new one. I went for the MSI MPG Artemis 323CQR. I'm trying to think which one that is. Is that the curved one? I think I actually looked at that as a replacement for my monitor, but I was kind of like, I don't really need it. It's quite expensive, so there's no point really swapping it.
That was meant to go on his last message.
Oh.
Let me go back, I'll read it to you.
No Hunter, no Hunter. I'll scroll back up. I can't see.
Could you write it again?
Yeah, write your message again, Neil. I'll try and find it. Pedro Martin says, I use a 5700X with PBO at 160 watts and a heavily OC 6700 with a 10-year-old 550 watt PSU from XFX, made by Seasonic. 550 watt is just fine up to a 6750 XT. Well, there you go. I can't argue with that. Although, saying that, if you're using a 550 watt PSU from XFX and it's made by Seasonic, I'm imagining that is going to be either a gold or potentially even higher. So a gold rated 550 watt power supply is going to be significantly better than a 550 watt bronze by any stretch of the imagination. Dutch Jan says, Q might look at Kai Gaming.
You did that.
Oh, I did that.
You're going the wrong way now.
Right, I'll skip down to the bottom.
Said it was the thank you reference for your co-link reviews.
Oh, right. Bless you. That's very kind of you, Neil. You don't need to thank me for them. I enjoy doing them, to be honest. Especially the co-link stuff. I really do like that.
And Linux.
Linux. James Macias, MSI can't spell Artemis or Supreme right. No, they can't. You're absolutely right. Linux. Oh, there you go. Linux, would you buy a Ryzen 5 5600 or Ryzen 7 5700 just for gaming with a 5600 XT, 1080p high refresh? Yeah, I'd go with the 5600, I think. I don't think you'll see any real tangible benefit of the 5700X against the 5600. Gaming is going to be pretty much mostly weighing on the graphics card. I think you'd be wasting your money, to be honest. Stuart Cleary says Argentina 2, Mexico 0. Poor old Mexico. Barry says, yeah, the curved monitor, I got it for $299 as an offer. That's pretty good. Pretty good. I do like MSI stuff, I'll be honest. I do have a little bit of a soft spot. As you can probably tell, this is very much heavily MSI based. MSI keyboard, MSI mouse, MSI motherboard, MSI headset.
David Aiken.
There's a lot of MSI. David Aiken. Mike, how low will a B650 stroke X670 have to be to get you to bite with inflation taken into account? I'm trying to adjust my mindset of what a mid-range board costs these days. A B650 board, I think for a reasonable B560 and not a B560 650M, so a full size, full fat board, I think has to be 150 or less. And if it's a micro ATX B650, I think it has to be 130 at the very, very maximum. And that would have to be a bowel-shatteringly good motherboard. Realistically, for a micro ATX B650, I would be jumping between the 80 and £100 mark. For a full fat board, something like a B650 Tomahawk, 150 quid, which would then put it roughly in place of what the previous generation B550 Tomahawk went up to at its peak. I think I could get with that. I wouldn't feel happy about it, but I'd do it.
Sky's in.
Skystalker says, made it. Grandkids over. We'll be checking in. No worries. And happy Thanksgiving to those that are having Thanksgiving stuff happening at the moment. I'm not sure if Canada do it, but
No,
obviously North America do, don't they?
April.
Nick Barnes says, is it fair to assume that B450 is not being made, hence price increases over previous? And when would we expect to see B550s cease production? I don't think they will. They are still making A320 boards and they are still making B450 boards. Not to the same amount that they were, but they are still in production. MSI will no doubt keep the B450 Tomahawk and Tomahawk Max and Tomahawk Max 2 and Tomahawk Max S boards going for ever and a day. A lot of the OEMs are still buying them and putting orders in for them, so they will still be on sale, just not to such a high quantity as they have been. Adam Drape. Have you seen the Antec DP505 case? I just bought one in white for a full white build. Was just finding your thoughts on the case. I'm going to have a look. I'm going to have a look. There are some Antec cases which I just don't like. I'll come out there and say it straight away. Because, well, actually, there's no real reason for it. It's just, I feel they've lost their way. The 505. Yeah, actually, the 505's alright. It's a bit bloody expensive, though, over here. Let me see if I can actually make this work. So, desktop. That didn't work. Let's go back to main. Why did that not work? You butt. Let me see. Let me hang on a mo. Hang on, caller. Actually, if I choose that, desktop. I know what it was. So I want desktop. No, actually, no, window capture is fine. There we go. Happy days. See, I can do things, although it's not lined up the screen very well, so let's just drag that out there. There we go. That'll do. So Antec DP505, £93 seems an incredibly, yeah, that's just too much. To be honest with you, I'd probably go with that on the side, the Montec case. I'm not even sure what that is, but that looks kind of nice. I like that. Let's have a closer look at this. So mesh front, yep, tick. Weird front, Antec definitely. Nice bit of room at the top there for radiator mounting, so that's pretty cool. What else we got? 240 radiator support on the top. I'm trying to work out what case it is or who makes it. So you've got some grommets in the back for adding drives. Removable plates there, and that's all good. Plenty of grommets. GPU bracket. Yeah, it's quite a nice, well thought out case. I do like here as well, you've got the little cutout for GPU power to go through. Unless, of course, you're using an NVIDIA card, in which case you'll probably want it over here somewhere. Nice bit of room for radiators up front. Not sure about at the top. Is there room for 360 at the top? I don't think there is there? No. 280 maybe.
Dutch John said 360 on top, Mike.
Is it? It could be, I suppose.
Top and front payload.
Let's have a look. I would like to see it. Storage expansion, blah 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 blah. Physical. So depth 481 mil deep. So 300. Yeah, I suppose it probably could then. The ATX motherboard support. Oh, there we are. Cooling system top. But it says it supports 3 120mm fans, so potentially it could.
360 at the top on Antec website.
Alright, okay, I will go with that. There's only one left, be quick. 93 quid seems like a lot of money. Let's have a look at this Montec mesh. I mean, I'm slightly intrigued. Yeah, that's not bad. That ain't going to take a 360 at the top. Actually, saying that, is that the same? That's the same mesh cutouts, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think that's quite as big, is it? Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's go back to our main. Where was he? So 360 on top. Aletta says, I don't like cases with a basement. I quite like it.
Greg asked earlier, mechanical keyboard, I think it said used for £50 or $50. About the same thing now, aren't they?
Yeah. Greg, K57 keyboard, is that the one you were talking about?
I'm not sure. A lot of people have been answering it, but
Alright.
didn't know if you knew one.
Greg.
It's quite far back now.
Oh yeah, I could see some of it.
Can you tell Kai Gaming where to put the screenshots of his build?
Yeah, if you go over to our Discord,
It's in there.
and in there, it says my rig. So if you just type in hashtag MY, it should come up there. Hashtag my rig. You can put pictures in there. Although saying that, if you're not a member,
It's the PC build.
oh, put it in PC build advice then. Sorry, my mistake. Skystalker's got a 3060 OC, 12GB. Not sure it is an upgrade. What did you have before? You had a 1080, didn't you? Was it a 1080? I can't remember what you had. I'm not sure. Mookie MC says, my hope is the next wave of AMD graphics cards will work better with Adobe, yeah, and OBS, yep. That would bring some competition with NVIDIA and CUDA Core's video processing, 100%. If the 7000 series comes out and there's like a 7500 or 7600 XT and it's pretty good with Adobe Premiere, I'd be switching over, 100%. Greg says, it seems to be a whole month of Black Friday deals in November as opposed to one day of bargains here in the UK. It's, yeah, and I'm not really seeing any bargains. I'm really not. Even our Discord, which normally is pretty active with bargains, there was a few things there, but not really. Like, what happened to the things before where you used to get a power supply, like a 500 watt EVGA power supply for 20 quid, reduced from 40, that sort of thing. That's the sort of deals that we're talking about. That's what we should be seeing, but we're not seeing any of that. It's ridiculous. Rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. Now I've got something on my eye. That's rubbish. Right, anyway, we need to have a look at this case, because I've not even started yet, and we've been doing this for an hour. I've just been jibber-jabbering away to you crazy folk. So we'll have a quick look. For those of you that don't know, the case is the Aerocool Aero One, and it was $27.99 plus $3.50 or $3.99 packaging from eBuyer UK.
Actually, pay.
Hmm.
Not just the packaging.
You know what I mean. Now would be a good time to insert ads. Right, I've got to grab the box over there, so I'm going to insert some ads. Please watch them, and if you want to, click on the links in the ads. It generates income, bizarrely. Who would have thought? For those of you that are still watching, or yeah, for those who've got ad blockers or you're using YouTube Premium, hi, and thanks for supporting the channel. Well, not if you're using an ad blocker. If you're using an ad blocker, screw you. Killing my revenue streams. I'll have to turn this channel into a subscription base. Now I should say, before I start this, and before we get this going, I don't think this is available as that deal price anymore. So if you do want one at the price, then you can. I don't think. It might come up again. You do find actually with eBuyer, they have these really weird deals where they'll sell something at a really good price, and then they sell out, and then about a week or so later, they get a bit more stock and they carry on. And they've done that a few times recently, so I wouldn't say 100% this won't be available again. But yeah, keep an eye out for it. If it does come available again, I'll notify the Discord chat, and I'll also notify in the YouTube comments section. So, and obviously if you see it anywhere, let me know so I can let others know. So anyway, there's the Aerocool One, as you can see, mid-tower case, mesh front panel. This thing's about 3 or 4 years old now. The actual design of this, I'm sure this has been out 3 or 4 years, maybe slightly less, but it's been out a while. What can I say about it? Better still, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to get it out. That's probably the best way.
What is this called? Nitro? Camera.
Caught the lead. Discord Nitro is basically it's Discord's way of monetizing Discord more than they do already. So what they do is they put a lot of stuff behind a paywall. Again, back to the subscription thing we were talking about earlier. And Rick H, thank you for the super chat. Coming with a $20, thank you. It says to offset my ad blocker. No problem. Aww. That's very kind of you. Flame, shush, you miserable bastard.
He doesn't like the super chat.
Flame didn't like the super chat. He's upset about the whole situation.
It means he's had to get off my lap. He's gone now.
So this is the Aerocool One. I actively avoided reviewing this, and actually I actively stopped Aerocool from sending me one of these for a review sample.
Blazing Hardware has built some systems with this case.
Awesome. There's something about the front design of this front panel which, weirdly, at the time when I was reviewing cases, I didn't like it. I absolutely hated it. I detested it. Everything about it just made my blood itch. And I was like, no, that just looks too weird. I can't cope with it. But, actually, now, considering some of the other weird, bizarre shit on the market, this actually doesn't look too bad. And there is something actually quite pleasing about it.
Ugly.
It's actually a really nice design. You've got a carbon fibre effect on this central bit. This is all matte finish, so it doesn't have any gloss to it, which is going to be a bit of a fingerprint magnet, unfortunately. Yeah, that is going to...
Alienware vibes.
It has got a bit of an Alienware look to it, hasn't it?
Looks like a Sharkoon case.
With the 3 fans on the front, so you get 3 included addressable RGB fans up front. You also get another one at the back.
Nobody's liking the look of it.
Nobody likes the look of it, and I totally...
I'm sorry, Mike, but that case is but ugly. It looks like a speaker. That case is rather fugly. The front panel looks like an elongated toilet seat.
Wow.
The front of that case looks like a big XFX video card. Dust guard in the front case cover stops air. Stormtrooper design.
I'm thinking,
Have to pay me to get one.
in hindsight, my initial reaction to not wanting to review this case and not get involved with Aerocool in general was possibly justified. Because it is one of those, it's a really, really polarising case, as I can see from the chat. And actually...
Kaiser solely likes it.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I actually don't mind it now. I think it actually looks kind of cool. This is coming from someone who doesn't like some of the Antec cases, so yeah. It is all about individuality.
You're actually happy, weren't you, when it came to something
When
you
it's,
have liked it?
for 30 quid, it's hard to dislike it, I think, personally. When it comes to its original price when this first came out in the UK was 75 quid. In which case, yeah, they can roll it up real nice and tight and cram it up their ass. Not going to play those games.
For that toilet seat.
Yeah. For around about 40 to 50 pounds at normal price, I can understand why. Because it is actually, surprisingly, it's actually a very high quality build. It looks very, very weird. Neil says it would sit nice next to a PS5. Actually, I need to clear that chat, don't I? Actually, I did a good thing. I've actually put the chat on the right side of the screen so I can actually see the chat. That's impressive. Matthew Day says the $29.99 Hive looks nicer. See, the Hive as well, a similar sort of thing. The Hive for me, if it was a uniform front, like flat mesh, I would probably like it. But I think it's got a weird bit on the side which isn't mesh, which reminds me of the, was it the RL06? I think. Anyway. Let's take a look at this case. So the front panel comes off not very easily. So actually I'm going to have to take the side panel off first. Now the side panel, this is where you start to get an idea of the quality of this case. Because when you undo the side screws, first of all it doesn't want to fall out, which is always a benefit because how many of us have done that before? Taken a screw out, gone to answer the phone or got distracted and then you've turned around and it started falling out. It's happened to me. If it hasn't happened to you, it will do at some point. So it's actually held in with little lugs. So you've got a lug, where is it? There and there, which line up there and there. So there's a nice little ledge on the bottom, nice heavyweight glass as well. So you just put it on the ledge, put it into place, and you can hear it, it locks into position. Can you hear that? It's a very distinct clip, it just clips into place. I like that. I don't know why. I just like that. To me, that is a sign of quality. You've got a very light smoke tint to the glass. We'll get rid of that. You don't need that.
You're not doing a build in it tonight, are you?
Not doing a build in it tonight, no. I was planning on it, but there's some bits which I need which haven't arrived, so I'm a bit scuppered for that. So I could have got most of the build done, but not all of it. So inside, you've got loads of room. There's a really nice mesh on the bottom, and you've got some big pass-throughs at the back. You've also got a ton of room there for a radiator, so it does lend itself really well for a 360mm radiator. Front panel, I can take off now, he says. So that reveals the 3 fans, and you can see actually this thing is like rock solid. It's really deep as well, and this mesh is proper metal. It's actually metal, you can't, and it's quite thick metal. It's not like, there's a little bit of flex to it, but not a lot, and it's not like you can damage it very easily. So I quite like that. In terms of airflow, it has a potential to be very, very strong airflow. The fans themselves are PWM, although they're not PWM in the sense that we traditionally use PWM. So they're 6-pin fans which go into their own hub, which is in the back, which we'll take a little look at shortly. There is something which I detest, and that is the internal magnetic filter. So clearly this thing is going in the bin because I just hate those. I'd rather clean my case every couple of weeks than I would use one of those magnetic mesh filters on a front panel. I think those are horrendous and should not exist. As you can tell, I've got some relatively strong thoughts on that. The rest of it is very simple, very straightforward. The best thing is the top. So if I turn it around, you can get a better idea of what is going on. So normally, most cases, that would be the cut-off point where those rivets are. And it would normally just go flat across the top of there.
Do you have a drink?
Oh yeah, hang on a sec. Giant cheese grater, someone said. Right. Yeah, so this section on the top is basically where you're going to stick your radiator. So if I turn this back, or lean it down a little bit, you can see you've got the removable magnetic filter on the top. You've got the mesh, which is the cheese grater style, same as the front. But this whole section can hold your radiator. So you don't have to worry about it touching, nudging your motherboard. Your motherboard's going to finish about here. And you've got all that extra room in there, which hopefully you can just about see if I get into the right focal plane. So there's an absolute ton of room in the top for a radiator. Now it's only a 240mm because 3-4 years ago, 360mm rads were not really a thing. But I think a 240 in that top is going to be, well, easy to do. And if you don't like the idea of a radiator and you don't like the look of it, you're not really going to see much of it because it's all going to be, and the fans are going to be enclosed in that top bit. All you'll see really is a couple of pipes coming down, which I think actually will look very, very cool. My opinion, you're more than welcome to disagree. Millions do. Well, tens of thousands. Back panel, same deal as the front. So again, you've got those little lug bits which lock in, which holds it all in place, which is again very nice. I like that a lot. You've got the hub, which is built in, which is on a sticky pad, which has already started to come loose, as you can see. That's probably my fault, to be honest with you. But what is very cool about this hub, all 4 fans plug in, so you've just got a standard cable which plugs into the bottom, and they're latched into place. So if you want to pull it out, it's actually quite difficult to pull out. So if you're building systems with this and you're selling them, then it's unlikely that the RGB connections are going to come off in transit, which is kind of cool. But what is actually quite unusual is the fact that the hub has actually got also traditional 3-pin 5V addressable RGB. So if you put inside there a Cooler Master cooler with RGB lighting on, you can plug that into the hub as well and control the whole thing through there. It's not often that a manufacturer will have their own custom RGB hub for their fans, but also have the traditional 3-pin 5V addressable RGB. So you've got 2 headers on there, so you can connect that to a hub if you wanted to. And bizarrely, the PWM function actually properly works. The controller has actually got a PWM in the controller, so the fans you can set down to basically like 200 RPM, and they're silent. And even actually at, I think I measured them up to about 1500 RPM, anywhere up to about 700-800 RPM, they're basically silent, and they work very well. Now, in actual fact, let me, I'll grab a power supply so you can see what they're like. Not that there's going to be some of you that just don't care, because it looks like a freaking cheese grater. And actually, to be honest with you, that does look like a cheese grater.
Yeah, go with our air fryer.
I wonder if I could take that out and actually change the design. You probably could do, couldn't you, quite easily? Just put a normal mesh in there. Not that you'd want to. Actually, other thing which is cool, this top plastic bit, the lip on the top, actually, they've strengthened it. So there's actually a chunk of metal underneath there. So it supports the top. So even if you're like a slightly overzealous kid and you're rage quitting and you're slamming your stuff down on the PC, it's not going to break, is it? It's not going to, well, that's most of my strength on there, and that
straight with 2 fingers.
Those are very powerful, my 2 fingers. So anyway, yeah, you can see it's actually really well built. I like it. I genuinely do. I didn't think I was going to. And I think at the back of my mind, because I've got the whole kind of, it cost 27 quid. It's like, it's good. Ugly Bob says, I'd have laughed my old fella off if that had snapped. I was thinking about that as well. If it had snapped, that would have been really embarrassing. But it just goes to show, it is actually like super, I think it must be polycarbonate or, well, it's a strong plastic anyway. It could be polycarbonate, I guess. It's made from Superman's jockstrap. Ew.
It's on the outside.
Yep. Dun, 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 dun. No, Star Wars. I'm going to plug this in now. I'm going to use my little Noctua fan adjuster, which is absolutely awesome. And I'll give you a sound of... Because I did notice that a couple of you were saying that the fans are awful. And actually, I didn't find that.
It's RGB friendly. I don't know if you've got one.
It is RGB friendly, unlike me plugging this in. There we go. Where's my doodah? There he is. Very handy. Get one of these. Well, you don't have to. You can get a paper clip if you want to. And you can put it into your power supply. Where's my adjuster? There we go.
Neil Hunter says ketchup and mustard PSU. That's your favourite.
Ketchup and mustard. This was actually sent to us by a viewer, which was Legend Edge. Or Edge Legend? Legend Edge? I forget. It's been at least a week since it's been here, so it's easy to forget. It was sent by a viewer, and I'm very pleased, and I actually do use it. I did have an older one, which was even worse. But this thing is actually pretty dope. I can't believe I just said that out loud. Yeah, man, it's like dope.
Sorry,
There's a super chat from Uggs. £2, and he says bang. It won't go bang. He says
bang!
Sometimes I do really wish I was hard of hearing.
Hey?
Hey? Come on. Plug in. Oh, why is that not going in there?
Because it's dark.
No, I think I've just broken the pin. Oh, come on, don't be a butthole. Have I broken this? I can't have broken it already. Surely not. In theory, this bit just plugs into here. Why is that not going? Oh, there we are. Are they working now? Fans operational. So, is that on the... Yeah, that is on the lowest speed. And all you can probably hear is the power supply fan over here. If I lift it up off the desk, it goes. So that's with the fans on, and I'll be completely silent, or as much as I can. Basically silent. Oh, I didn't plug in the back one. Let's plug in the rear. Locked. Yep, locked in load. Full blast. They're a little bit noisier. That is on full blast now. You can probably just about pick out the noise on that. But bear in mind, obviously, it's pretty bloody quiet. And it's moving a ton of air. And I think personally it looks alright. But you lot don't like it, you hate it. You can tell that because concurrent viewers have dropped massively. Aerocool, screw you, bastards. Ruining my figures. Phil Black says, hi, Calf.
Sorry, Flemo, we've got moved again.
Phil Black says, good review on the 3060 Ti Founders mic. I managed to get one for my lad for Christmas. Had to get it a month ago though. Been out of stock for a while now. I get this old card, a 1060 Ti. Awesome. Matthew says the rear is not spinning. Oh yeah, sort that now. Callum Young, hi, hello Mike and Kath, hope you're having a good weekend. Yeah, not too bad. It's nearly over, but yeah. Benny Hill, yeah, it was 32 quid on Amazon 8 days ago. There we go. Lucky Man 1 says Bob's not a butthole. There you go, Bob. It's been immortalised in in words. You are not a butthole. Skystalker, I said that already. Yeah, it looks better with the fans. Yeah, it does. I think it looks great. I honestly do. I genuinely like the look of this case.
Ugly Bob, untouched.
Right, who touched Bob? DotSync says it's overbuilt but unique. Looks kind of cool. Looks good. In my opinion, so cheap. Mookie MC says bring that other case from under the desk. And the viewership will skyrocket. It won't, because I'll get told off and then I won't get anything else come through from Thermaltake and they'll be upset. Stuart Clary says, who touched Bob's butthole? Yeah, I think it'll be quicker to work out who hasn't.
His hands got that.
The old ones are the best. Looser. Dutch Jan says €80 via Mike's link. Neil Hunter says that's awesome for the price. Not to my taste, but you'd expect a case with an acrylic panel for that kind of cash. Yeah, to be honest, like the build quality is awesome. Aerocool isn't one of the. I'm sure Aerocool as a brand themselves would not mind me in one iota by saying that the name or the brand Aerocool isn't one of the brands that springs to mind when you consider a quality case. And I'm not saying that is the case here, but it's pretty nice. It's the metal. Someone said the metal's supposed to be a bit flimsy, but
Somebody said earlier the fans break quickly.
yeah, the fans might break quickly. That it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm pretty sure the fans are the Aerocool 12, and you can pick them up for kind of not pence, but not a million miles off. They're not the highest of static pressure fans, but what I'm thinking is like 30 quid for a case. I can basically put anything in here and it's going to be fine. It's going to have a decent or reasonable amount of airflow. And arguably, actually, I'm going to say strobe effect warning. So if you have any type of photosensitivities, i.e. you're going to be breakdancing in the bathroom, don't watch the lights because they are a little bit on the stroby side, and go through some of the lighting patterns. Oh, tell you what, if I plug in the RGB light to the actual controller, that will make this whole process much more seamless. What can you do? What can you do?
Have you had a look at the ASUS Prime AP201?
AP201, a couple of people have mentioned that recently, I think.
I bought it yesterday and built it today.
Any good?
Jeff House.
What's your thoughts on it, Jeff? Is it worth the money? Right. It's got some weird, trippy effects going on in this thing, which I'm not sure how well they come across on the camera. Yeah, that kind of looks somewhat like what is going on there, I think.
Is that the right case?
Yes.
Because it's called the Aerocool Eclipse Aero One.
Aerocool Eclipse Aero One. Maybe I should have added that to my titles then. Not everyone calls it the Aerocool Eclipse. They call it the Aerocool. Even on the website.
John says Mike's link is the Aerocool Aero One Eclipse. But that is what it's saying.
Yeah,
there, isn't it?
that is
the right case.
I think the Eclipse version might be the black one, and the white one is something else. I'm not entirely sure. Aerocool, again, one of those brands where they call things all sorts of weird names. Anyway, I'm trying to find this really trippy effect. Here we are. That's not the sort of effect you see often. It's a little bit on the trippy side. Not saying that's why you should buy it, but it's just a bit different, isn't it? And it's got some of the baked-in effects are actually pretty decent. I quite like them. I like that one where it adds and changes the colour. That's pretty good. It's not unique. Other companies have done it, but these days, for 30 quid again, I think it was a cracking deal.
Antonio's asking how much is Lian Li 011 Air mini black case in UK.
I have no idea. Probably somewhere between 100 and 150, I would imagine. I don't know.
And Jeff says, yeah, is it definitely worth the money? It's a micro ATX case and fits a 360 AIO.
Oh, cool. I might have to look into that one. Was it the ASUS?
201, wasn't it?
Yeah. AP201, was that?
Yeah. That's quite good for me, isn't it? I have no idea at all.
That's a weird effect. That the lights are changing, but
William thinks
not.
it makes him think the case is broken. It's going down well, this one.
Alright, let's just go with statics then, shall we? Pale blue. Matching the Mike's Unboxing logo. Almost. Kind of. It's close. Anyway. I know this is obviously going to be one of those relatively polarising cases, but I think for the money, it's awesome. Even for... If it was at £40, I would still probably put it on my list of potentials. Because, like, really good radiator placement on the top, which is unusual. Like, if you're looking at things like the Corsair 220T, or the, what's the other one? There's another one which is similar to that, one of the carbide ranges, where it's a compact case, but you can't put a radiator in it unless you bang it in the front. Whereas with this, you can put your radiator in the top, you've got plenty of room to do stuff in here.
Bang!
You can blow it up.
Still didn't work.
Plenty of pass-throughs.
Can you bypass the hub and go into J Rainbow?
Yeah, yeah. The hub has got a what's it called? Bypass. So you press and hold the button, and it switches into motherboard mode. If there was a motherboard attached, it would then take whatever the motherboard is doing. So yeah, you can do all that stuff. So it's not like it's captive to here. You can just plug it into your motherboard or another controller.
Rick says that case would cost him $140 and $102.74 shipping off Amazon US.
Sweet baby G-Bus. That's a lot of money. Anyway, I wanted to show you what it's like.
Grate a lot of cheese with that.
You can, yeah. Like,
Do you want some cheese to test it?
I'm sure there was an Apple.
Greg wants me to get some cheese for you to test it.
I'm not grating cheese with this case because it's 30 quid's worth, and that's going to be a real mess. But in the name of science, we could actually grate some cheese on it. Alright, let's have a quick poll in the chat. Do you think we should actually try and grate some cheese with this case to see if it is actually a cheese grater? I'm thinking long term I could take a segment of this video and post it as a short and it might go viral. Although any further sponsorship from Aerocool is completely off the table. So, yeah. Bob says, I'll send you a tenner if you do. Rick saying yes. Matthew Day saying no. Bill saying no. Dot Sink says, laugh my ass off. Benny Hill says yes.
Dot Sink, cheese and garlic.
Cheese and garlic. I don't know. I'm sure it probably will. It probably will. I don't know whether I should...
Mucky Muck, unfortunately the case is not widely available in the USA as he looked under the kitchen section.
Wow. Wow. That's just hurtful, Kath Churchill. Right, go and grab some cheese. Grab a block of cheese. Let's do it. Peter S says no. Expensive cheese grater.
Flame will eat it.
James says, don't do it. It will probably work. I just don't want you to have to clean up. David Underhill says, Corsair cases are nicer and cheaper. They're not in the UK, sadly. Corsair cases are very expensive. They used to have quite a few offers on, but these days it's very far and few between. Let's see. David Aiken says, Poppy can clean up. She probably would do, actually. Alessa says, do a water cooling build in it. Jonathan says, it's amazing at catching cat's hairs too. Okay, so we have some of the finest Tesco Extra Medjool.
We love Medjool.
Medjool cheddar. I don't know whether I should do this.
Do it while the fans are running for an even finer cheese.
Let's see. Oh dear.
blame Dave.
Hashtag blame Dave. If it all goes wrong, and I managed to... This is the most surreal thing I've ever done. And I've done some pretty surreal things. That's going to stink forever, says Phil Black. Chris Arthur says, I have a few Corsair cases, have to find used bargains, but pricey otherwise. Yes, they are. Chris O'Hutton says, that's one ugly case, man. Peter S says, your viewers are plummeting. They're actually going back up again. Concurrent viewers is going back up. Does the case have to go back? No, it doesn't. I have actually purchased this. This was bought by us. So, will it grate? Let's find out. No, it's a cheese smoother. It is actually... There you go. It is not a cheese grater case, no matter what anyone says. So if when the video goes out that people say this is a cheese grater case, we can divert them to this section of the stream and say, well, no, we actually did try grating cheese and it was a absolute clusterfuck. Let's be fair. So that didn't work. I thought it was. I'll be honest with you, I was with most of you guys out there saying that it's going to go.
No.
It does.
Get right in there.
Oh, it does a bit. £2 for Lucky Man says go for it now. Well, we did. Alexa says, I'm still here, not going anywhere. Where else will I find content like this? Exactly. Ugly Bob says that the front of the case is great. Rick H coming with $20 says, damn, I thought it'd work. I'll be honest with you, I was with you. I thought it was going to grate cheese amazingly. I thought that that was going to be one of the unseen selling points. And as you can see, well, you can't at the moment, it's made a relatively good effort at it, but to be honest with you, if it doesn't do it on the first couple of scrapes of the cheese, then for me, I'm out. Really. So, there we go. David Aiken says, £2 super chat, squeezy cheese next.
They've got some dairy triangles.
Dairy triangles is straight
angels,
through.
But...
To be honest with you, I was considering, because of how strong this was, I was considering going with a carrot. Grating a carrot. I think it might grate a carrot.
I got one.
Ah.
And your frozen one.
We are completely out of...
That's eventually finished.
That's it. We're done. Unbelievable. Mark Berry says, get the pressure washer out tomorrow. Benny Hill says, that made my day. I thought he was joking. No, sir. I never...
Can you cut a bit of that cheese off for Flame? No, because he's seen it.
Flame wants some cheese.
Do you want some cheese, Flame? He's not a cheese lover, to be honest. Oh, babe, that's not helping him, is it?
It's helping me. Okay. Cheese, kids. Good for you.
Made me want some cheese, though.
James missing. Ugly Bob says he's not missed any dinners, has he? Oh yeah, cheese. David Underhill says turn off the fans and OC the CPU. Get the case really hot, then you can grill the cheese. There is a little bit of cheese goop.
We do have video ideas in our Discord if anyone wants to put any crazy.
Yeah. That's going to be alright, isn't it? I'll leave that. If I don't do a build on it and suddenly we get flies around it, we'll know what it is.
Do you like cloppers and that?
There we are. There is a little bit of grated cheese that did come out. So all those that said it is a cheese grater, you weren't entirely wrong. It's just, it's not great at being a cheese grater and it's not really great at being a case. It's kind of somewhere in between. A bit like the MIDI system. Anyway, that's worked out quite well. I better vacuum that up. Oh, I'm gonna have a cheesy vacuum now. That's gonna stink, isn't it?
Why don't we get Poppy?
Because she's useless. Right, headphone users or just people who don't like the sound of a vacuum, I'm vacuuming.
Send it back because it don't grate cheese.
Yeah, I might do that. Put it on the. Oh no, it's not Amazon, is it? If it was Amazon, I could. Reason for returning this product: it was useless at grating cheese. My viewers were ultimately very disappointed.
Someone says, "Saves me trying that on my case. That is also how I eat my cheese."
Oh, that'll do. Right. Shall I give that... Sorry, can I give you that, Kath? Can you run it under the tap or something? I'll just give it a wipe over with a wet cloth, please, before I put it away. Thank you, sir. Right. No boost mode on the vac. There is actually a boost mode. Has got turbo. I do love my Tinaco vacuum. Thank you very much, Tinaco. I actually genuinely use that vacuum
Most days.
pretty much every single day of the year. And it's the only vacuum I use. I don't use our Dyson or the upright. It's awesome. Good stuff. Highly recommended. Actually, I didn't see any of those on special offer Black Friday deals, which was a shame. Rick H says, Linus has nothing on you, Mike. No, he doesn't. Although, saying that, he's probably tried the cheese grater thing, surely. I just realised my fans are a little bit noisy there. Let's turn them down. What's that, me eating a block of cheese? I've got my eyes closed.
Yeah.
Like I'm wishing it was something else.
They're like looking up.
Hang on, I gotta look at this. Someone's on the Discord. I think it's probably Bob.
No, it's not.
Dave Aitken?
Yeah.
Would be. Dave Aitken, he's a man of many talents, some of which being doing screen grabs. And this one is me eating a block of cheese. That might be one for the next t-shirt. Right. James Mercedes says, overclock the vacuum. I have actually overclocked the vacuum. Genuinely, I have overclocked the vacuum. There is a way of... Actually, I'm going to show you because I was impressed with this. So, this is the standard vacuum mode. It's pretty powerful. Press the turbo button. Turbo mode. But if you actually want to overclock it, you can take out this section here, and now it's turbo mode all the time almost. But it doesn't use more battery.
Also, it knows, doesn't it, where it's dirty and it ramps up.
Yeah, it's automatic sensing, so it knows when it's dirty and when it's clean, so it ramps up accordingly. But if you take out the filter for the dirty air coming out the back, which generally isn't dirty anyway, it's self-overclocked. So every now and then I do think to myself, yeah, I've had a bit of a heavy weekend, let's overclock the vacuum. And I take the filter out the back and run it without a filter, and it runs actually very, very well. So yes, I have actually overclocked my vacuum.
Exciting. Where's your cleaning cloth?
I put it in the wash, sorry.
Okay.
That's why I didn't have one over here. Right. Benny Hill says that sounded like the fan on my old GTX 750 Ti then. A letter would make sure it was water cooled. Water cooling a vacuum then, that is... Well, sometimes it is water cooled, but that's only if the cat's has had a little accident. And then that is not great. It's not great.
As long as it's a yellow accident, not a brown.
James Miller says, dare Miker. Alexa says, I need a good hand vac. My hands do tend to get dirty. Lol. Oh dear. Jonathan Robertson says, are you always on meth? No, I don't think I've ever had meth. Have I had meth?
No.
No, I've never had meth.
Any tunes?
Matthew Day, is that telling you the filter needs cleaning? Well, bizarrely, I thought that was the case, and I actually changed the filter out, washed it, cleaned it, and put it back in, and it's still overclocked. So, no. Oh, Mark Point says, no soccer for the boy today, as he's been sick all week. Oh, sad times. Aletta, no. Walter White has. Walter White definitely has.
That show's methed up.
That is a methed up show. Right, there we go. We got our clean case now. And it doesn't smell much of cheese. When I say much, I mean at all, really. But don't worry. We're all good. If you have a stinky PC, just use some Auto Bright air sanitizer.
Don't spray things.
And that's it. That's all it needs. A tiny little blast and that stuff goes forever. Actually, I'll give you a close-up of that.
You can spray the lens.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome stuff. If you're selling or buying PC parts or whatever, and you want them to smell fresh and new, that is it smells like Sauvage, the aftershave. It's very good. So before any of our items go to CEX, give them a quick. That's better. Lucky Man says, smells of Y-fronts. Matthew Day, PC for sale, slight smell of cheese. I might have to do that. David Aiken says, the way you hold the can out is like a budget Jensen. Right, I can actually remedy that.
Actually, it does. It's got a lethal bit on it somewhere. Look, I've cut my hand on it.
Ah, Kath has actually managed to decapitate herself. Right.
On the thumb.
I'm getting my Jensen jacket. If I can find it. It's black and it's leather. Ah, there we go. Oh, it would be on the bottom, you shithead. There we go. Huh? Should I do a... Oh shit! Tripped over my lead, yeah. Oh, damn it, I forgot something I needed. It's in the other room.
What is it?
Graphics card.
Where is it?
In the bag, in the anti-static bag. By the chair. Sorry, I've got to wait for the reveal. Because it's all part of the props for this. So, carry on. I am still here. Hello. Giving you a little tickle. Anyway. Sorry, Kath's just getting props. Prop store! Okay. Oh.
Mine's screwed.
What bit was that that just fell off there?
Don't know.
Probably needed that bit. Oh, that's that bastard screw that I said.
You lost.
That came out of the motherboard box. How... Oh, man. I was looking at high and low for that. There we go. Got the jacket, got the graphics card. Someone's going to screen grab that. I think it does still smell a bit cheesy. Which side's best?
Okay, Bob says you'll be having nightmares on your Tuesday at night. You fly in your dreams, don't you?
Mark Point says just need to Photoshop in some hair now. Thank you.
We've already had that with Titanic, Jack, that massive hairline.
Oh yeah. Oh, I better move that so it don't burn. Right, let's get rid of this sack of spuds. And we can resume normal programming. Screen grab. That is what is known as radio silence. It's generally seen as a bad thing. I can't believe I've spent ages and ages looking for this little tiny screw, and it was with the bloody graphics card. I spent literally ages. I was like, where the fucking hell's that thing gone? I've only been sat here, I've not done anything, where's it gone? I was freaking out. And it's for one of those AM4 retention brackets.
The cat must have had it on its collar.
Yeah. Ah dear. Anyway. Oh, look at that. The Aerocool sticky tape is not really sticky.
I bet the leather jacket cost more than the... Well, you put leather more than the computer case.
It did. No. I don't think it did. I genuinely think the jacket cost less than the case.
It's genuine pleather.
It is a genuine pleather, which was purchased from... I think it might have been TJ Hughes.
That's what the kids used to call it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like 60 quid reduced down to 30. So technically it was, I think it was £2 cheaper than the case. Uh-oh. That is the impending sound of a Discord chat coming in, which probably involves me in some various state of mockery. Arthur Daly. Did you buy this graphics card off him? Where's my screws? There we are.
Look at you smug git.
That is actually not bad. I should have zipped it up further. Although it would have trapped the microphone, so... The next time there is an NVIDIA product launch, I will don the Jensen jacket. Just to keep you lads and ladesses entertained.
If I send it to you, can you show it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, actually, can't know. Yeah, send it to my email. I should be able to open my email. Actually, can I? I don't think I can. How else can I do it? Maybe I can open it in Discord. I don't know.
You might be able to let usernames be shown.
I'm not very technically advanced.
Lucky I've got a tech channel.
Oh, a bit like this case now. I didn't put the bloody filter back in. So anyway, there was going to be I actually did plan at some point to do a live build in this case, but being as you lot actually hate it, I don't think I'm going to bother. I think I'm just going to do a build, sat here on my own, crying into my big pillow, and we'll hear no more about it.
My ear defenders.
Yeah. William Bodie says, at Calf Churchill, did you two enjoy the candy I sent? We very much did. Calf more than me.
Thank you.
I don't eat candy because I'm healthy. I'm lying, I ate candy. Now I'm going to do my back in, trying to put the case away, over to the side. Never lift and turn at the same time. You will basically destroy your back. Which I think I've just done. Control V don't work on Discord anymore.
What about... I'm thinking it's like a there we go.
Ugh.
Take the cats, we've got some cheese in the shift button.
Control cheese shift.
Yeah.
Woo!
And all our passwords are the tomato sauce problem.
Mark Point says, I like the case, Mike. Thank you, Mark. It's nice to see someone in there with a little bit of taste, even if it is the taste of cheese.
Mature.
Bit of mature cheddar. Mookie MC says, I'd watch that build video whilst eating some cheese and crackers. Fake Paradigms is careless. I would. Rick H says, do a build in it, Mike. I will. I will actually do a build in it. In fact, I have to do a build in it because I've got stuff that needs to go in there. Such, actually. Dutch Jan says, Mike, your list in the description is much more expensive in Germany. That is a really, it's a really terrible thing at the moment. I'm noticing actually with other YouTubers as well. If I click on links for American YouTubers, was it Zach's Tech Turf? He did a $300 PC build, and I clicked on the links and it was basically £600. So there is going to be a lot of that. I think with the global market kind of going off in weird tangents as it does, it's actually very difficult. So yeah, it is going to be one of those things where you are going to see there's going to be some price discrepancies, which is unfortunate because it would be nice if, well, it's nice that we've all got our different individual economies and markets and stuff, but at the same time it's a pain in the ass if you've got like a more global kind of audience and you're trying to expose them all to the same sort of pricing. So yeah, it is a bit tough. David Underdale says everything is more expensive in Germany. I think, I'm not sure, from what I can ascertain from the media and stuff, it does appear that Germany is on a very slippery slope at the moment, sadly. Steve sent now, is that suitable for... Nice work. Yeah, Germany is... I'm very fond of Germany as a country. When I was learning languages as a kid, I was always more inclined to kind of edge towards the side of Germany than I was France. I don't know why, no real reason. I just find German society and language just seems to be very kind of logical in all that stuff. I like it. David says, cases and coolers you often featured for £20 or £30 are 3 to 5 times dearer in Australia. Yeah, and it's really upsetting because I watch Hardware Unboxed, and when they're doing motherboard reviews, your motherboards over there are like really cheap in comparison with ours now. So it's like, well, we got cheap cases, but you got cheap motherboards. Maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle. Thomas says, what parts are you going to use for that case? I was looking at a Ryzen 5 3600. I was going to use my MSI B450 Pro Carbon Wi-Fi Max motherboard. Graphics card, I wasn't entirely sure. Probably something like a 1650, maybe a 1660 Ti. What's that? Is that cheese? Alessa says German is a great language for yelling. It has. It's got the German language has got a certain kind of promptness or kind of not aggression, but it's a very kind of curt language, I suppose you'd call it. So it's very to the point. Yeah, it's very good. Stuart Cleary says, tried to send a super chat, but my bank authenticator app is intermittently not working. Sorry. That's no problem.
Shift button's broken, Babs. Sorry.
You've broken your shift button?
Somebody's dribbled in it, I think.
Oh, for God's sakes. You've had that keyboard for 5 years.
It's alright again now, but I don't know how long.
David says, yes, Mobos are bargains. AM4 B550 boards are cheap. I wish they were here. I wish they were here. William Bodie, no, not Kirk, Kurt, C-U-R-T. It means, well, in English it means kind of short. So rather than being, if someone said to you like, would you like a cup of tea, rather than saying, oh yes please, that'd be very nice, a curt way of saying it would be yeah, which isn't, it's more efficient, but it's less caring, less friendly, I suppose. Abrupt, yes, thank you, Bob. That's what I'm trying to say. Mishtek says, hello, my fellow kids. How you doing? Chris Hartford says, cheesy keys. I think they may be cheesy keys. And there's Cheesy Poppy. Right, Popstar? How you going? Is that nice? Say hello to the... Oh, sorry, didn't mean to jump. Say hello to the ladies and gentlemen.
Eating cheese.
Pops, look. It's the interwebs out there. Don't be so jumpy. I'm not going to tell you off now. I normally tell her off if she jumps on the table. Stop licking me. I'm not cheese. I'm not cheese. She's like, huh? Food. William Boney says that's not how we are in North Germany. Good to hear it. Mitch Tech says, well, Black Friday was crap, wasn't it? Yeah, come on. Has anybody actually found any decent deals? Because I've been very much struggling. The monitor, actually, that's what I was going to bring up, wasn't it? The monitor. There was an offer on Amazon. What is the brand? Curious. Curie. So it's Koorui. And they do a bunch of monitors. Oh yeah, accept cookies, whatever. So this is actually, at the moment, it's $65.99, which is 31% off. But it's also, can you see that? Yeah, you should be able to see that. So, yeah, 65 quid. There was, well, if you're logged in, there's also a £10 discount as well, so to bring it down to 55. And yeah, it's 75 hertz, eye care, ultra thin bezels, blah 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 blah. Sorry, had to, couldn't help it. Damn you, a letter. Not a letter, the other one. What's her name?
A letter.
Greta, not a letter.
You said a letter.
That's the badger. Anyway.
Oh, I thought you meant her surname.
Moving on. So, 1080p, 75 Hz, desktop monitor, blah blah blah, eye care, HDMI ports, LED, blah blah blah. It alleges to have 99% of the sRGB gamut, which I would say is probably bullshit, but still. I'm guessing it doesn't say, oh actually yeah, it does say it's a VA. So it's a VA panel. It could be worse, could be a TN, which would be awful. So yeah, 55 quid for a brand spanking new 22-inch monitor. I think it's pretty hard to pass up. So I have ordered one. I'm going to see what it's like and see if it's any good. It does say that it's useful for TVs, Xboxes, PlayStations, but it doesn't have any speakers or pass-through. So unless you're playing your PlayStation or your PC or whatever using a USB headset or plug-in headset to the PC, it's a bit useless for that. So there's no sound pass-through, no speakers or anything, which is unfortunate. But I've not heard of this brand before, Curry. Has anyone in the chat heard of them before? This is a very new thing, and it does say that it's sold by, where is it? Yeah, dispatches from Amazon and sold by Amazon. So I don't know whether it's going to be an Amazon brand or not. And they do a few other ones. That was one that I looked at as well, 170 quid. And you can get £10 off Microsoft Family, blah, blah, blah. 27-inch curved, 165 hertz at 1440p. 144 hertz. And it's got only 85% of the DCI-P3 color gamut, which isn't all that bad. You have to spend a lot of money to get 100% DCI-P3. Not many monitors do it. But yeah, I just thought this is an interesting little brand, and maybe let us know actually in the chat. Is this brand available in your neck of the woods? It does appear that some models actually have a joystick control as well for the on-screen menu, as you can see there in the bottom corner. So yeah, it looks like an interesting new budget brand. So yeah, I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are on it. Did that work? Maybe it did, I don't know. So yeah, that was I got the £55 monitor, so I'll see what that's like. I'm guessing it's not going to be great. But for 55 quid, the next nearest thing I think was in the mid-70s for a Hewlett-Packard one. So yeah, it could turn out to be pretty decent. I'm hoping it is. Genuinely hoping it is. But yeah, let's have a look at your chat and see if anyone else has found any bargains. I hope so. Avengi says, Curie is a good brand. They are on the same level with international brand, just they don't have the name. Okay. I'd be interested to see what they're like. I'm guessing it's going to be the same as most things. So it's going to be like a Samsung or an LG or one of those big players. It's going to be one of their panels. Just it's not going to have all the nice features and all the kind of post-processing that some of those panels actually have. So yeah, that's pretty good. Chris O'Hanlon, sorry, my mistake. I bought a Corsair 650 watt PSU for £70. AWD Gold. Actually, I managed to pick up about a week or so ago TX 650M Corsair. That's a 650 watt gold, 7-year warranty, and I think this was £45.
But will it grate?
This will grate, I'm imagining.
Dave Aikens wants to start a channel called Will It Grate?
Will it grate? Should do. Imagine that. Greg says you need to film in the kitchen to be with the Jensen jacket. Okay, I might try to do that. I'll do that. Does it grate? And I'll get a stick-on grey wig as well. David Underhill says Curie is an emerging technology brand by HKC, a giant in the semiconductor display industry. So who is HKC? What if that's got anything to do with Hitachi? Maybe. I don't know. Lord Moss Gaming. Hi Mike, I just bought a MSI G27C4 E2 from Currys on an offer. Also bought a Deepcool CK560 from Scan this Black Friday offer. Awesome stuff. I do like the I do like the Deepcool stuff. I've actually got the Deepcool LS, or is it LK? LK720 in the PC behind me. It runs really well.
Review upcoming?
Yeah, review is coming out soon. I'm not allowed... Am I allowed to... Oh yeah, I am. That is one I'm allowed to release. Got some cool stuff coming out. Actually, there's another NDA video, 2 NDA videos for Montech, which will be out shortly, for a new powerful cooler, which unfortunately might just about be in the top of the shot. I'm not sure if it is. It's just there. If you can see that.
No.
Can you see the shelf?
Just bottom corner in that corner.
Ah, that's right then. I've not broken any NDA. Neil says, I save £50 on a 27-inch VA curved 165Hz monitor in pre-Black Friday sales and £60 on a Razer Wolverine gaming controller. Nice one. Mark Point says, going out for a toke break, don't end the stream, Mike. I'll try not to. Dave Aiken says, less chatting, more Photoshop content. Okay, where am I? I'm on my main screen, so I don't want to... Actually, let me go to intro.
What we do here is go back.
Go back to main, sorry about that. There's another one.
I can just keep them coming over to you anyway, can't I?
Yeah, hang on, let's have a look.
I can't send this one over anyway.
I don't know how I can show this on the screen. Can I make that full screen? Open original, if I do that, that'll do. Right, so copy. And where is... There we go. I'm not sure if this will work, but... Hey, that worked. Right, desktop. There we go. More time needed, I think, Dave. Excellent. That is going to be the stream thumbnail, isn't it? Oh dear. That is good. That is good. Oh dear. Open original. Anyway, you get the general idea. They'll be posted on our Discord, so if you want to see some of the pictures, they will be on our Discord stream, or chat rather. Let's get on a bit further. Nice wig. Trojan says, I haven't really found any Black Friday deals compelling enough to make a purchase that I'd need to hide from Mrs. Trojan. I know. I'm actually looking for, well, it would be interesting, or it would be nice if there were some good Cyber Monday deals. Now that's something we do have to kind of bear in mind here. Oh, wow. The Black Friday was a bit of a washout. Cyber Monday generally is the one where you tend to see some of the obviously the more PC stuff, because it's supposed to be for tech stuff, Cyber Monday, because obviously cyber is in the title. So, in my opinion, I could be wrong, it happens often, the lack of sales and lack of response, because I haven't seen on the news that normally you hear on the news that they say like Black Friday sales have broken more records and Amazon have sold X amount of billion products, blah blah blah. I've not heard that at all. I've not seen it plastered on the news. Even searching for it, looking for Black Friday sales figures, there's very little to be said about it. So my opinion is, because the economy is basically tanked, that they haven't sold a lot. Which is why Cyber Monday is always a good backup plan, because companies are relying on Black Friday to sell a lot of the stuff pre-Christmas. That's their kind of their bread and butter. They gear up to this time of year because this is when they're going to sell those kind of higher end items. And if they haven't, they've then got Saturday and Sunday to think about it, maybe do some special offers. If some companies do, they'll post out, like Scan here in the UK, CCL, eBuyer, etc. My email or inbox, or both of those put together, has been swamped with things saying, oh, this item is now on offer, or this is something you looked at earlier, blah, blah, all that sort of usual nonsense. I think they're going to get desperate. And my feeling is Monday is going to be some very good deals. Or at least it's going to be better than what we've seen already, because that is going to be the last chance. Because if they don't do it on Monday, realistically then you've only got, what, less than a month until Christmas. So most people's paydays are going to be either the end of the month or halfway through the month. So Black Friday and Cyber Monday normally happen just after people have been paid. And they know there's not going to be another payday until Christmas, which then generally is going to be too late anyway. So for retailers to squeeze as much money out of our wallets as possible, it's got to be Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Some of them may shit themselves after. If it's a bad Cyber Monday and stuff still doesn't sell, there are always going to be manufacturers and retailers which are going to be like, we need to sell inventory, otherwise we are seriously not going to be trading next year. And I genuinely think that is going to be going through the minds of a lot of retailers. You've got your e-buyers, you've got your scans, overclockers. I'm not leaving anyone out or including anyone specifically here. I don't know anything, but the way things have been financially for a lot of companies, there has been that big kind of lifeboat for some companies, which was the inflated prices, COVID, etc. People buying PCs, extra monitors, offices at home, all that kind of stuff. And now is the contraction time. People don't need that stuff, and if anything, they're selling off stuff because they're not using it because they're skint or to buy other things. So the market for buying brand new PC stuff has contracted massively, and I think there's going to be a few less retailers in the high street and on the line in the coming months. I can quite easily see it happening. This is the time at Christmas now where retailers have to make their money, and if they don't, they may not survive to see next year, which is very sad, but it is ultimately going to be the way it is. If you sell stuff and people don't want to buy it, then you're out of business, basically, which is a shame, but that's the way things are. Let me know, am I talking out of my butthole, or does that make any sense?
Cheese grater.
I am talking out of my cheese grating butthole. Will it blend? Probably not. So yes, please do let me know what you think. I do like to ponder these things all the time. Lord Moss Gaming, hi Mike, is there any AIO 240mm units you recommend to have a look at? I have a Ryzen 5 3600 and use for regular gaming. To be honest with you, the 3600 doesn't generate a great deal of heat. I've used 360s on mine and 240s and they all work relatively well. There's not really a great deal between them. I would go with the one which you like the look of, to be completely honest with you. Some of the cheapest ones, like I would imagine if there's going to be any deals on, MSI will be doing their cheapo 240 and 360mm AIOs probably Monday. They're worth keeping an eye on.
Next them now.
How to lube your PC fans. That is good. I'm going to have to put that one on. Yeah, 240mm radiators. I think that is definitely... I'd be amazed if there isn't some deals on. They do seem to be getting more expensive, but hopefully they will be... Yeah, Monday is what I'm looking out for, realistically. Cyber Monday needs to help all of us. And AMD have come out and reduced some of their CPU prices for the AM5 platform. I don't think they've done enough. I still don't think that DDR5 has come down enough to make it worthwhile. If it comes to the point where DDR5 is kind of almost the same price, one for one, that would make a difference, I think. People would then be tempted to swallow the price of the more... Yeah. If the processors come down a bit, the memory is almost one for one. Even with the motherboards being slightly more expensive, I think there would be a little bit of momentum behind it then, and people would be like, okay, well, the processor is going to cost me a little bit more. The RAM is pretty much negligible. A nice board is going to cost me a bit more. It's going to be that swinging point. Like I said earlier in the video, the B650 boards need to be at least between 100 and 150 pounds for ATX, and probably between 80 and 130 for micro ATX, for it to make any real sense at the moment. It isn't going to happen, clearly, but it would be nice if it did. Mishtech says, I hope Monday is good. Need to stock up. Mishtech, is that Amish from the Discord? I'm guessing it is. It makes sense. I didn't put two and two together. Hugh Luttrell, how you doing, Hugh? I saved £70 at 12:01 Friday morning on M.2. Happy days.
Can I post that one on Discord?
Stuart says, I'm in the market for a good VR headset. Any recommendations? When it comes to VR, I have no idea whatsoever. I've never dipped my toes into it at all. It's not something which I've really... I wanted to get involved with it, but...
Skystalker have one once?
Might have been Skystalker. Yeah, possibly Skystalker might have had one. David Underhill says the Deepcool AK40, AK400 was only $20 less than my Vitro AIO. Mark Barry says UK is screwed. I don't think it's because of globalism. If one is screwed, all is screwed. I think is really basically how it's going to happen. I don't think there's any. Well, I don't know. Greece has probably not done particularly well, has it? Benny Hill says, yep, Mike, people being thrifty now, you can't blame them really. Totally. We, here in the Hub HQ, we don't turn the heating on. Unless it's like an emergency type situation where we have to have the heating on, we don't turn it on. We've got the wood burner, that's been going.
We did do an experiment to see if it got more humid in.
Oh yeah, we did an experiment for humidity. That is the concern. If you don't put your heating on at home, there is the strong chance that your humidity level goes up in the house, in which case it ruins things, such as your wallpaper, you get damp in your walls. I've actually noticed the laminate flooring has started bubbling in places where there's too much moisture.
No,
So
it hasn't. That's where the chimney caught fire.
no, in the front room, there's loads of spots.
Okay.
And it's not where we've been in there, because we don't use it. So the laminate flooring is actually starting to swell. So you can't really leave your house not being heated if you've got certain types of furniture and stuff in there. But yeah, it costs money, so it's best not to. If you can possibly get away with it, literally on most days and nights, to be honest with you, when I'm not filming, I'm sat in that chair there with my jogging bottoms on, because they're warm. I've got my Mike's Unboxing t-shirt, Mike's Unboxing hoodie, possibly a coat as well, and my beanie hat, just so I don't have to put the heating on. Sad life, but it's true.
And he has me out cutting pallets
Yeah.
and collecting pallets.
Stuart says, what's the chances of the Kraken Z73 being discounted on Cyber Monday? Nothing during Black Friday deals. The Kraken series, generally, they do quite often see those reductions around Black Friday, Christmas time, and obviously Cyber Monday. So it's like most things. If there's a popular line that they feel they could push more, they will reduce it a little bit just to give it a little bit of a bump. But I couldn't guarantee it, but I think there's a strong chance you'll probably see something somewhere. Mark Berry says, my son puts on the PC in his little room and no need to worry about heating. Yeah, our George is the same. He's up there in his little tiny little box room, and his 1080 and his 2700X is pumping out a bit of heat in there.
And he just sits there in his boxers in the morning, doesn't he? Naked with his boxers on, and you're like, aren't you cold?
Yeah. William Bodie says, here in Germany, they found out that most 4090 are not build right and burned down. That's not good. Andy Archer, what's your recommendation for motherboards, makes and models to watch for if the prices do reduce, Mike? When it comes to, well, AM4, I would be looking at... It's a tough one, because AM4 boards have got really expensive. If they do come down to sensible pricing, I'd always be looking at the MSI boards, the B550s, the Gaming Plus. That's a good board. In fact, actually, I think that's what's in there. Yeah, that's the Gaming Plus in there. The Gaming Edge Wi-Fi, if you want Wi-Fi and extra nice features, that is a great board. I've got that in my editing rig. That works really well. The Tomahawk, obviously, is a really good board. Other than that, really, they start to go in price. If you can pick up a Unify, that's a really nice board, but they sometimes come down to silly prices, but not often. So yeah, you'd have to be a little bit kind of wary there. It's a tough market, it really is. That's what I would be looking at. ASUS boards, most of the Prime ranges, you'll probably see some discounts on a lot of Prime boards. I personally would avoid Strix boards, B450F Strix. Quite a high failure rate, often sold very cheaply. I don't know whether it's just because they sold so many of them that there is such a high failure rate. That generally does go hand in hand. So MSI Tomahawks, high failure rate, but there's millions in circulation. Same with the MSI B550 Pro VDH Wi-Fi, possibly one of the best selling boards MSI made, other than the Tomahawk. And again, high failure rate. But is that because they've just sold so many of them that eventually, obviously, with all things silicon-based, you are going to get problems? Possibly. Sky's saying, what am I supposed to have? I wasn't sure if you had a VR set.
Yeah, he's already said his wife has.
Cool. Where are we?
Down a bit. Dom.
I'll go right to the bottom.
I don't know how far up from the bottom it is.
Dom, 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 dom. Dom, Do you think we'll be getting cheap £40 to £70 A620 or B650 motherboards when now Ryzen 7000 is allowed to run to 95C and those motherboard VRMs need to be better or something like that? I think there's, from what I can see, there seems to be a kind of common misconception about the temperatures thing. I don't think the processors run hot because they are running hot, if that makes sense. I think their problem is more the fact that the way that they're designed to run, they allow more voltage, and because there's basically crap solder between the heatsink and the processor, that it's expected for it to get that hot. Because most people have said that if they're running a system at 95 degrees Celsius, the water in the radiator and the air coming out of the air coolers doesn't feel any hotter or any warmer than their previous generation AM4s or Intel stuff. So it seems to me like there's a weird inefficiency of where it transfers heat from the CPU to the IHS and then into the cooler. So it kind of gets to 95C and it knows that that is like its thermal limit. And as you've seen, people that have delidded their chips get much better results down in the 70s, which is what you'd expect to see. So I don't think it's more of the processor getting that hot. And I don't think it's a problem or going to be a problem with the VRMs. Obviously, if you've got a multi-core processor, loads of cores, loads of threads, that does have a massive increase on the amperage going through the system. So you do need a better VRM, or at least plenty of phases to spread out that load. Yeah, the heat side of it isn't... I guess they are related, but they're not as such. So yeah, I wouldn't put too much concern on the VRMs and things like that. But it would be nice to see cheap A620 boards, at least being £100 or less. I don't think we'll ever see 40 to 70 quid boards. David Underhill says, I was only 7 degrees Celsius last week and today it's 33 degrees. That's a pretty big jump, isn't it? In the UK, we normally go between, I think the biggest sort of swings are about 15 degrees or so. So you go from like bizarrely being about 5 to 7 one day and then in the 20s the next. It's very, very rare, but it does happen. Neil Hunter says, I'll be interested to see your thoughts on the best bang for buck in terms of energy usage given the current crisis. Yeah, to be honest with you, the things like the 5600G, 5700G, if you really, really are concerned about the amount of energy you're using, those are the processors you should be using. Maybe a graphics card which is using onboard power rather than using a separate connection. So yeah, there's so many inefficiencies in computing. Like your monitor, whatever you're watching this on at the moment, unless you're watching on a phone or a tablet, there's an extremely strong chance that your device is probably Energy Star rated maybe E or F. If it's a high refresh rate monitor, chances are it's going to be F or a G, because they are super, super inefficient. And normally if you put your hand over the top, you can probably feel a bunch of heat coming out the top, because that is just wasted heat or wasted energy. So monitors are probably one of the bigger culprits for energy wastage, especially high refresh rate ones. Graphics cards I feel have just got ridiculous, genuinely ridiculous. I don't know. The world went off on a Linus tangent a few years back, and it kind of went from being like everyone was on this kind of relatively even keel, then all of a sudden it's like it suddenly made sense to basically burn pound notes to power your graphics card, all for the sake of a bit of visual fidelity. I honestly don't get it. I genuinely don't understand it. But everyone's different. If you've got a 4K screen and you need to power it, you need a lot of horsepower to do it. Whether or not you can see the difference in a fast action game between 1080p and 4K, I don't know. If you can, you're probably looking at the wrong thing. You probably should be enjoying the game, not looking at pixels. But yeah, efficiencies. There's lots of things you can do to make your PC more efficient. Energy saving modes for one. That screen's been on all stream. I've barely looked at it. That could have gone on this screensaver. That would have saved some money turning the screen off, but I don't know. Tabs. Caf's got 17 million tabs open, burning through electricity faster than...
Faster than I'm eating these frazzles.
Faster than she can eat those frazzles, yeah. Lucky Man says, oh my god, I thought there was only me that wraps up to save pounds. I don't enjoy it, really. But I don't really want to give those bastards my money either. Not the way it is at the moment. Energy is ridiculously overpriced.
They're still making a profit.
Yeah. The energy companies are making more money now than they have done at any point ever in the history of energy production, consumption and sales. So there's an energy crisis, but it isn't what you think it is. It's basically those bastards charging ridiculous amounts of money. Oh, the cost of electricity has gone up. Well, how does solar get more expensive? How does wind power get more expensive? How does offshore bloody wave generated stuff get more expensive? How do dams get more expensive? They don't. And if we're using all that stuff like they say we are, how does that get more expensive? It's the same stuff. The sun comes up every day, it hits a solar panel, the solar panel puts that energy into the grid and we use it. But now suddenly it costs more money for us to wake the sun up in the morning, apparently. I don't know. I don't think so. Pricks.
Plus, they've just whacked the standing charge up, so it costs you even if you don't use it.
Yeah, even if you don't use it, the standing charge has gone up, so you're screwed. Matthew Day says, add more cats. How many watts of heat does a cat generate? They are quite warm. They are quite warm, yeah. But then you have to put food in them to power them. They're powered by cheap Tesco's chunks in jelly.
No, we're going to co-op now.
Oh, we're up market now, we're going to co-op.
So we can buy in cash.
David Aiken says, I'm expecting very little difference for Cyber Monday. The deals are being drawn out every year to prevent the mad panic on one day. Yeah, I think that is that's a pretty fair analysis. Captain White's with us. Says, evening, how you doing? Skystalker, I just got a MSI B550 Gaming Plus yesterday. Nice board. Yep, that's what I'm running behind me there. I like it. David Andrew says, MSI Tomahawk for the win. Yeah, good stuff. Aletta says, I love my X570 Unify. That is a great board. I would quite like one of those at one point. Shrek OC says, Black Friday sucked this year. Yes, it did. David Aiken says, I can see why solar is costing us more with the November we've just had. It has been, yeah, it has been pretty cloudy, to be fair. Mark Point says, I haven't been able to get myself anything PC related lately and I had to put my dreams on hold for my home entertainment systems. Oh. That's a good point, actually, by Mookie MC. People are content with watching a TikTok video, and general consumption, most of us have a mobile phone in front of us quite often during the day, but yet, if you're watching a game or playing a game, it has to be 4K on a massive screen. I suppose I do prefer a larger screen, to be fair, but I'm not particularly bothered about 4K. I still think 1440p is the sweet spot. 1080p is showing its age a little bit on some panels. Anything over, I don't know, I think at 27 inches, that's when you start to notice it. So 1080p on the 27 inches, kind of the borderline, depending if you've got a good or bad panel. Really, 27-inch, I feel personally, should be 1440p. Thank you for the super chat, whoever that was. Captain White, £2. So next brew is on me. Bless you, sir. Shrek says, I like 1440 at 24 inches. Yeah, I think that's fair. Aletta says, my electricity comes from a bomb. Nuclear plant is only 50 miles away. Yeah, I'm not too sure. We've got Hinkley Point A, B and C, which I'm not sure. They probably are. Yeah, Hinkley A is probably not that far from Bristol. Benny Hill, the amount of BS and methane gas that comes out of politicians' arses could run the country for free for 6 months, lol. I think you might be absolutely right there. Lucky Man says MSI rule. They certainly do. I think they do. MSI, if they did, if their peripherals were slightly cheaper, I think there would be a lot more people taking up their stuff. And they could do with some nice cases. They've got some half decent cases, but they could do with some, like, even just like a rebranded Lian Li case or something. Just something with the MSI badge on it, which is just a little bit more thought out than some of their existing ones. Some of them are okay. I've had a couple of them. The Vampiric, what was the other one I had, which is quite nice with the divide in the middle. That was quite a nice case. But there's not quite, they just don't quite have a high quality feel to them. Irie Wolfman says Curry's black tag is the biggest con. Every year they increase the price before the sales, then drop prices when sales hit to make price drop look bigger. There is an actual official legal thing. So in order for an item to be on sale, it has to be at a higher price for a minimum of 30 days. So that is normally a month before Black Friday is possibly either the best or worst time to buy, depending on which side of that day it is, because they are going to start going up. Carlo says, got today my Sapphire RX 6950 XT for €800. Great deal. Is that a great deal? I honestly don't know. My knowledge of prices at the top end, graphics card wise, is very limited. James Messina says, this is boring. I have nothing to say because I agree with Mike on almost everything. oh no, I'll have to say something. I'll have to say, do a hot take to get people wild. Captain White says MSI mag something. Yes. The case I'm talking about, yeah, the mag Vampiric 010 or 011, I think so. David Andrew says, gotta go, see ya. Catch you later. Thanks for stopping by. But Neil Hunter says, the 65 to 105 TDP is a big jump in juice. Is it worth it for most? I don't know. That is a question that I do ask myself, actually, when being that my PC is on virtually from the moment I come downstairs to the moment I go to bed. It is something that I do consider, the fact that my PC could be using possibly a lower TDP and saving energy. But having said that, I'm not rendering footage all day long. I'm video editing for possibly 2 hours a day, maybe less, maybe more.
Dave Aiken's off.
Cheers, Dave. Oh, I think I scrolled too far now. Squibby says, funny how, as we were encouraged to use more efficient appliances and electronics, our usage may have reduced, but to keep profits, they put their prices up. no win for us either way. Yeah, I suppose if you're looking at it from a more conspiratorial side of things, which I often do, is you imagine if the whole country, like they were threatening energy blackouts this week, was it? Or was it last week?
Every week, isn't it?
Yeah, some BS anyway. They were saying that they were potentially going to have rolling blackouts because of our energy consumption not being able to be met. Now, if you think, like, purely just on a thing which just crept into my head, if you look around your house now, probably flat screen TV, much more efficient than a CRT. LED lighting, magnitude of 10 less power than traditional filament style bulbs. If you, in your kitchen, you've got the GU10 plug-in bulbs. Those were normally like 50 watts each. And you probably had like 10 of them or 8 of them in your kitchen to light it all up because it looks pretty. Whereas now you've probably got LED ones which are maybe 5 watts rather than 50 watts. So all of us, in general, I think, because you can't buy filament bulbs hardly anywhere, pretty much all of us in the country are using low energy light bulbs. So even if you argue that, yes, not all of them are going to be a magnitude of 10 less than what they were originally, you could say they're a magnitude of 5 less, so 50% less. So as a country, we're using roughly 50% less energy for our lighting and our monitors, computers and that kind of stuff. But now they can't keep up with the demand. But when we had twice the amount of electricity usage, it was fine. Unless there was a strike in the 70s. But from the 70s, like basically 50 years, we've pretty much managed to get by with our energy. But now suddenly there's not enough energy and it costs at least 4, 5, 6 times more than it did a couple of years ago. It makes you wonder that there's some serious bullshit. Someone is having a field day somewhere. There is going to be some jolly fellows sat somewhere laughing their asses off whilst they're bankrupting the nation. Assholes. Anyway, moving on. Shreko C, really impressed with my new ASUS Prime case. After years of cheesy motherboard vendor cases, the AP201 is a refreshing change. I'm going to take a look at the AP201. I'm intrigued. I'm not sure if it's ITX or micro ATX. If it's ITX, I probably won't, to be fair. I think I'm done with ITX. Mookie MC says, one of my local businesses has been having a giant liquidation sale every day for the last 3 years. It's hard to know what to believe in marketing. Yes. I think that is the thing. At least now, as human beings, we are starting to wake up to all the deceptions around us, whether it be our government, whether it be sales marketing or any other the bullshit that we get pumped at us into our eyeballs and earballs. We are starting to slowly go, hang on, this has happened before. And realising that, yes, it's not what you think it is.
And it's the same all around the world.
It is, yeah. For it to be exactly the same all around the world at the same time just seems like it's way, way too much of a coincidence. Like, yeah, if one country was struggling, you could be like, okay, yeah, it happens. Or for a couple of countries, yeah, you get it. But for everybody around the world at exactly the same time, it's like, this is not, no. I digress. Lucky Man says, should I go push-pull on my AIO 240mm? Now that is actually an intriguing question because I was doing some experiments with a air cooler, just a normal tower cooler, and it's a dual tower cooler. So I was experimenting with a fan at the front, a fan in the middle, a fan in the rear, and seeing which combination with 2 fans makes the most difference. The worst situation was actually just having one in the middle. It was about 5 degrees hotter overall in the low temperatures and high temperatures. With 2 fans on either side, it didn't seem to make a great deal of difference. But the third fan on the front, so one pushing in, one in the middle and one at the back, did actually make quite a lot of difference. So push-pull might be the way to go, but it's extremely hard work to calculate what pressure, static pressure you need, because obviously the fans on the front and the fans on the back, static pressure doesn't always work unilaterally, so both sides. So the front section might be pushing in and doing a really good job, but if the back section isn't doing the same or is less static pressure or is more static pressured, then you get an unevenness in the airflow. So in some cases it can actually be detrimental. So it is something you have to sort of play with.
Can you answer William Bodie? Is the CPU cooler in the back a new one? He must have missed it when you said it earlier.
Oh yeah, the CPU cooler in the PCB I mean is the Deepcool LK 720.
Thank you.
Cheers, Dave. I think I said that already, but I can't remember. Skystalker says energy cost here is up slightly, less than 20%. Jesus. Wow. Really?
Lucky man got those new wheels you streamed. So smooth, don't even have to get up to go to the kitchen. I was tempted.
They are good.
I was tempted because the cat was on my lap to go out to the kitchen in my chair.
Paolo says it's the great reset in action. You will own nothing and be happy. And eat the bugs, as they say. Hugh Luttrell says St. Paul, Minnesota uses the trash to burn to make more electricity. It's probably not a bad idea. Mark Point says, I wish the market for micro ATX motherboards was better. The trouble is with micro ATX is it's a great little form factor, but it's really limiting for some graphics cards because of how low your PCI Express slot is to the bottom of the chassis. If you put a micro ATX board in an ATX case, it's absolutely fine, but micro ATX board in a micro ATX case, you're always left with about that much at the bottom for airflow, which is not optimal. Skystalker says Canada is mainly hydroelectric. Well, that's a good thing, because they can hardly justify putting prices up much. If you're mainly hydroelectric, then the water and all that is flowing as it would do normally. So you can understand that a 20% inflation's gone up roughly 20% in Canada, I believe. So yeah, for energy to cost 20% more, if it costs 20% more for the infrastructure, the people, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, you can totally understand it and you'd actually be behind it and you'll say, well, fair enough, everything's costing 20% more, so if I have to pay 20% more for my gas and electricity, that is part and parcel of inflation, it happens. But ours is up, I think, 1,000% or something stupid, which is ridiculous. Ivory Wolfman says, push-pull is only useful if you have a very thick radiator. Most fans have enough airflow for most AIO. Yeah, I think push-pull was always one of those things that years ago, because fans didn't have a great deal of static pressure because they were essentially case fans just mounted to a radiator. So actually having the secondary fan to try and pull some of the air through, because the front fan didn't have the static pressure to pass through, did actually make quite a difference. Lucky Man got these new wheels you streamed on. So smooth, doesn't have to get up to go to the kitchen. Kath did say it just now, but I read it again because that's quite funny. I like that. Yes, a letter. Yeah, some decisions you do make, you do sit there and you're like, why? Andy says, so the big question, Mike, given recent innovations, Intel or AMD CPU for #1 spot? I think it's a tough question, really. I think Intel, if you're comparing like with like, Intel probably still just slightly have the upper hand in terms of for gaming. It's always one of those things that they're going to jostle for #1 spot. Personally, I wouldn't look at either one as being #1. I would just always go for what suits my budget and my use case scenario. Because what may be #1 for something may not be #1 for something else. It doesn't always follow that way. Stuart says, in Ireland, EV drivers are going to pay 65% more for electricity from December 12th. Merry Christmas. Momo Corsa says, UK has a unique problem. We always get the wrong type of rain, wind, sun, etc. Yeah, or the wrong type of leaves on the track when the trains don't run. Mark Berry, I think Rolls-Royce need to build some of their mini nuclear generators they've been talking about. Yeah, that'd be quite handy, having strapped onto the outside of the house. Sky says, gas here is the most expensive in the world though. Oh, for the motor car fuel. Yeah, that's bizarre. Because isn't Canada basically sitting on the world's largest reserves of crude? But they don't dig it up, so yeah. Mark Berry says UK did a deal with USA to import more gas. Yeah, because that's green, isn't it? Remember the green agenda that they're drumming into us? So rather than just us using the North Sea gas reserves, they're going to put the gas into containers, put them into big ships, and send those ships halfway across the world.
Getting stuck in the Suez Canal, or whatever it's called.
To send them over here. So by the time the gas has actually got here, did someone say that those super tankers give out more CO2 or bad things than like 100,000 cars or something ridiculous? So yeah, we're going to import gas from another country for some reason. I don't understand the reason. I really don't. JB's Arcade Mod says, currently looking to upgrade a spare gaming rig from a FX 8350 to a Ryzen 5 3600 and pair with a GTX 1660 Super. Would the Ryzen 5 be enough and not bottleneck? Just wondering. That'd be absolutely fine. The 1660 Super is probably quite a good match with the Ryzen 5 3600 for most tasks. Fake Paradigm says, could you run a fan on solar energy alone?
Probably run it on magnets.
Yeah, probably. Mookie MC, does the fireplace heat the entire Mike Cath household? No. It does this room pretty well, and it does go out, but it doesn't. It makes a bit of a difference, but not a lot.
If we got up earlier and we lit it first thing, but we haven't got a supply of wood at the moment.
Yeah.
We need to speak to the builder up the road.
Shrek says, AMD and Intel are the same. Intel is just slightly more aggressively pushing thermal limits. Yeah, that is, again, this is the thing that the whole green thing in efficiency is being pushed at us, the home people. But if you're a business or you're making stuff, then it doesn't include you. So please feel free to make processors which use much more electricity. Please make graphics cards which consume far more electricity. And we'll just tax the living bejesus out of the people who buy it.
But you could save money by buying a new kettle, apparently.
Yeah, that was class, wasn't it? Shrek OC says Kingston NV2 is considered the best budget NVMe SSD. Do you know what? I've actually that's what I've put in the PC behind me. I took out my old silicon power drive and replaced it with an NV2. Dutch Jan says one supertanker equals 68,000 cars. No, I was in the ballpark.
Here, mate. Where you going? Where you got your foot stuck again? Let's move forward.
Chris, I'm not going to read that out because I don't want to spark any tensions. Thank you, Blake, for that. Freckle Puny. The problem is that even if the UK used North Sea gas, this gas is in itself priced in dollars, American dollars. The pound has fallen against the dollar sharply. So yeah, that is actually something to consider as well. The exchange rates. That has made things a lot more expensive. DotSync says the Solidum P41 Plus is a great budget PCI Express Gen 4 NVMe M.2 SSD. Solidum is the former Intel SSD division purchased by SK Hynix. Yeah, I've never understood that. Why? Because SK Hynix obviously are makers of DRAM and memory components. So Intel, I haven't owned an Intel M.2 drive or SSD in a long time. So do Intel drives not have Intel chips on them? I'm guessing they probably didn't. But it seems odd that somebody would buy Intel's drive division with the Intel branding, which is obviously very nice branding indeed, and then to call them Solidum, which is actually difficult to write and spell and say, and it's made by SK Hynix. Why not just call them Hynix or something? Seems like a really bad naming choice. It happens, I guess. What do I know? I'm English. Skystalker says the 1660 Super is a good card, but still not really taxing the 3600. Great chip. The 3600 is a great chip, it really is. And I think the 5600 is going to take over at some point and be that same chip for us all. It's not really that far off price-wise either. Chris, no, far from it. Your 2P is very worthwhile, and I agree with what you're saying. I genuinely do. I think a lot of it has been a smokescreen, but I'm not going to say too much on that. Mishtex says, do pallets give off any nasty chemicals though? Only really if they've been painted, but we generally don't use painted ones. You might find the odd thing where the pallet has maybe had some cement on it and maybe got some cement dust, but really, no. You don't really get nasty chemicals. You do get nasty chemicals off things like printer cartridges, but they do burn like hell. They're like the furnace from hell.
We don't burn them.
We don't do them anymore.
They wreck the fire.
Yeah, they do ruin the fire and it costs money to repair it. Benny Hill says, I've gone all grumpy, lol. Sorry, show my age. Back to cheese graters. No worries. Oh, that's cool. James Miscellaneous says, Tech Power Up now has an SSD database. That's actually really handy. Blake Ancliffe says, I can't understand the kettle argument. If it's a 1000 watt element or a 2000 watt element, it will surely take the same energy and the only saving will be the time to boil. Yeah. It is a... Because you get quick boil kettles and it's supposed to be more efficient to use a quick boil kettle, but if you're burning something a lot hotter for a shorter time, I don't know. I'm not too sure how the rate of thermal decay works. If you think about it logically, it makes no sense at all, but there must be some reasoning behind it. To be honest with you, I always thought that higher wattage kettles are purely just a time-saving thing, and to hell with the energy rating.
Stick it on top of the wood burner in a kettle.
Freckle Puny says, I just got a 2TB Kingston NV2 drive from CCL, just 111 quid. Too good to pass up. Yeah, that is... I was tempted to get one of those also, a 2TB one. I've got a 2TB drive in my editing PC, which I don't think it's got much wear on it, but I'm getting to the point where the PC behind me that was streaming, the wear count was up to, I think it's about 85%, so 15% wear count, which I'm anywhere up to about 20%. I think your drive really should be replaced before it fails, but... Skystalker says, so was Brexit a good idea? It seems to me that it might have hurt a bit more than expected. Nothing's really happened. It doesn't, yeah. Brexit as such, the only real things which have happened is... Screwing us over. The import stuff, import and export, has been harmed. But the thing is, Brexit happened at basically the same time as COVID kicked in, so it's basically impossible to tell if it was a good thing or a bad thing, because there are so many other contributing factors which went for and against it. So, yeah, you'd have to have some kind of Wayback Machine and an alternate reality that didn't include the pandemic to see if it actually could have worked out. Greg says, Mike, fancy reviewing unboxing RX 67 non-XT. Excellent price to performance and frequently been dropping sub 300 in the UK. I've been looking out for it. The 10 gig version from eBuyer, they've had the power color one, and it hasn't dropped under 300 for a while. But if it has, please update me and let me know, because I potentially might have a look at that, yeah. Mookie says, has your electricity cost last month increased significantly year over year, or has the increase not kicked in? Oh yeah, no, it's about 3 or 4 times higher. It's about arguably 3, maybe 4 times higher than what it normally is. So if you're paying 200 quid a month, you're now paying closer to 800, which is terrifying, genuinely terrifying. And that is turning everything off. Literally, like, if the kids go into a room where they're not in, or they're walking out, turn the lights off. We're that bad. Even though the lights are like 5 watts, 10 watts. We are trying to curb what is happening.
Freckle Puny's off.
Cheers, Freckle Puny. Andy Archer says, the new home EV charge points are supposed to have their own meter, so VAT can now be charged on the electricity. It was bound to happen. The government always does it. They went to diesel, then they're like, get diesel, it's great. Loads of extra miles for the gallon, cheapest chips, don't cost a lot. Then 20 years later, diesel's way more expensive than petrol, way more harmful than petrol to the environment, and basically screws your engine up by using it in the way they want you to now use it. And it's way more expensive. And even the car tax is more expensive for diesel than a petrol now. So they're like, yeah, do this. And then they get everyone on board, then basically they turn you around and don't even bother lubing up. And then they're going to do the same, well, they've done the same with electricity. Yeah, go electric. Get rid of your gas boiler, get rid of your gas cooker, get rid of your gas-powered car. Get electric is the way to go. Then, oh, by the way, we're actually going to charge you 4 times as much for your electricity. Hope that's all right. Whereas gas prices are actually very cheap. To actually use gas central heating, gas cooking, is actually considerably cheaper than electricity is now. So all those people that have been conned into buying an electric fan oven, a halogen hob, or an electric vehicle, I feel sorry for you. I'm glad I didn't get burnt the same. Stuart Cleary says, data centers use an estimated 200 terawatt hours each year, which is more than the national energy consumption of some countries. Wow, that is quite a lot. William Bodie says, Mike can't say nothing. We all live in North Korea now. Yeah, I think it's been that way for a little while. Oh, I missed something there. Never mind, I'll move on. Yeah, cheers, Freckle Puny. Greg says, I got the Power Color one through eBuyer, £288 via eBay with 10% off with the code. Lovely performance, but runs quite hot, even with good airflow. Yeah, I did want to try one. It's a shame that AMD sucks with Adobe Premiere. Although I could have quite happily gone with that as my daily driver. Mark Berry says, I've got all my appliances on a remote kill switch, so nothing's left on standby when I go out. That's awesome. Kath's mum's house used to be like old-fashioned fuse box by the front door. So go to bed on a night time, dunk, 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 turn all the switches off. Turn all the fuses off.
They didn't even have on-off switches on the plug sockets, did she? So you had to unplug everything. Actual unplugging. Yeah. Which I think is the way to go. I used to hate it. But all that dirty electricity leaking out at you.
Chris O'Hanlon says, my PC just restarted. I was slightly worried it's underpowered, running a 500 watt power supply with an RX 6700 and an R5 3600. But this is only the second time it's happened. But I just bought a new PSU, it's not here yet. Yeah, it's kind of borderline. Sometimes you get weird spikes. Depends how your power supply deals with it. Yes, Kath.
William Bodie.
William Bodie, William Bodie, William Bodie. Kath Churchill, is it okay for me to send candy and things in December to the Mub HQ? It's very kind of you to do so, but don't feel like you have to. We do get bombarded with stuff, and yes, if you want to, do. I know everyone at the moment, especially things cost an absolute fortune to send as well. At the moment, postage prices are bloody ridiculous. So for that reason alone, I'm tempted to say no, don't, because it costs so much to send.
And don't give them the satisfaction.
Yeah. Don't tell them what's inside it. If they ask what the value is of anything inside, everything is costing a penny. Because otherwise, the tax on it is just ridiculous. Skystalker says, I pay $110 a month, equal electricity, and we aren't terribly thrifty. Yeah, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Blake says, currently looking at an EV fuel, currently costing around about 80 to 100 per week. Job subsidised EV Peugeot E228 GT for £300 per month. Seems a reasonable option for me to consider based on similar mileage, 20k per year. As long as it's subsidised, then you can't go too far wrong. It's when they take the subsidy away and then you're basically screwed. Cheers, Greg.
V-Stealth, no.
V-Stealth 2K?
Yeah, but William, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's above, isn't he? Yeah,
yeah.
no Williams.
I want a wired connection to my PC, but my router is downstairs, my PC is upstairs. Would a power line adapter work? Yes, it would. Very likely. I wouldn't say 100%, but most electrical systems will cope with that quite easily.
It's Greg off.
William, but is that an okay yes or no? I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to turn a gift down, but I'm not going to say yes and make you feel obliged to do it. So, if you want to do it and it isn't prohibitively expensive, then of course we would love to receive gifts. But it's don't feel like you have to.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, the fact that you've offered is enough. Irie Wolfman says 6700 and a 3600 is closer to 600 watt minimum. Lucky Man says just ordered draft excluders for all doors. Hope this helps. The biggest thing you can do actually in terms of draft excluders and stuff is your windows. Because most double glazing isn't brilliant. So adding another layer of glazing, or even just like some plastic over the front of it. You used to be able to get plastic which you could put on, then go over with a hair dryer, and it would like turn into like a sheet. That's really good.
But then doesn't that just cause more damp because there's no ventilation?
Yeah. Mark Point says, for me, let's just say electricity wasn't a cost factor when I got my son his 3080 Ti. Unicorn Life Matters says, doesn't it need to be on the same circuit in the household? No, not necessarily. Most fuse box breakers now, because of the way they work, most homes are on a split system. So you'd have like maybe you're upstairs on one half, downstairs on the other, but the bus bars join it all together. And because this, I'm not entirely sure how it works.
He was in the wrong
but
moment. So.
Yeah, it's
or she.
Generally it's fine. Andy93 says, hey, how are you, Mike? I'm pretty reasonable. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
That's good for Mike.
Yeah, that is good for me.
William again?
William says, I'm not going to pay a little over 30 euros for 3 kilos just to send some costs. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. You're better off, actually, if you can, if you use Amazon and use Amazon Germany, but put our address as being where you want to send it to, and then you can use your Prime account on Amazon if you've got one, and they'll send it to the UK, but through the UK distribution. So you buy stuff from Amazon Germany, and they will send it via Amazon UK. That generally works, I think. Mark Berry says, I've put up a lot of curtains in my place between rooms to keep the cold out, and it works great. Yeah, curtains are a really good one. We don't have many curtains in this house because we've got most are blinds without curtains. So yeah, we probably could do putting some up. Andy Archer says, hey Kath, how come Mike gets all the airtime and we never see you in the videos?
Because that's the best way.
Yeah, she says that's the best way.
I'm just cat sitting.
Shrek says we're only on 110 in North America, so every house has a ton of circuits. Yeah, I suppose because in the UK we're on 230/240 volts, so you can actually have more circuits per unit than you would if you're on 110, because obviously if you plug in a whole bunch of stuff on 110 or 120 or whatever, you're getting close to the limits of what the voltage is on the rails. I think that is, or the amperage over the wattage equals something. I don't know. It's basically bad. Fake Paradigm says, you have a gift mic. What? Do I? A gift for something. Skystalker says, when my daughter was in school in Europe, Amazon Germany was our friend. Never pay for postage. Oh, yeah, I got you. Lucky Man says, we want Calf Live, we want Calf Live. It's never going to happen. She won't do it. I would quite happily give up my space here. It'd be great. I'd actually love to go and sit in a chair or just sit on the computer and doing all the changing camera angles and stuff like that. But Calf will not have it. Andy says, you kind of look like David Gilmour. Don't know who that is, so that could be a good or bad thing. It's possibly better than being Imhotep.
I'm Vern.
Squibby says, make sure you open windows in the daytime. Fresh air is easier to warm. That's what I heard, and it seems to work. Yeah, there is. Moisture in the air makes it harder to heat. So the drier the air, the hotter you can get it, easier. Because the water in the air adds resistance, basically. Ira Wolfman says, Mike, just put up a mirror case now and again and we get to see Kath. Skystalker says, don't know, why is she so shy? Don't know. I think, well, we all are. I hate being on camera. I always have done. I absolutely hate it. But I got to the point now where it's like, well, whatever. The most I hear from a lot of people is they hate the sound of their own voice. And you try editing videos, or you try editing your own videos. It's impossible not to hear your own voice, and I sound different now. I don't sound like I do. If you record yourself on your phone or something and play it back and you hear your voice. But it doesn't sound like how you think you sound. But after about, well, just a very short time, it gets to a point where your brain realizes that you're listening to yourself, and it just changes in your mind, in your head. And you sound exactly the same on camera and recorded stuff as you do in your head. It's really weird. I don't know how it happened or why it happens, but you just get to a certain point where it's like, oh, I sound like I do in my head. Just goes to show the brain is a very powerful thing, even one like mine. James Messenia says, that's crazy, Mike, and you're probably right. If you do it, yeah, if you do it enough, like I've literally edited a video pretty much every single day of my life.
Of my life.
Since the last 5 years or so.
Every day of your life, then is it?
Every day of my life since the last 5 years. That makes sense.
Okay.
Because I'm putting a caveat.
I've edited a video every day for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I've edited a video mostly every day for the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And it does. If you're a video editor or you make YouTube content and you don't hear your voice in videos the same way as you do in your head, you're not editing enough videos. Lucky Man says, I said to my departed wife, that's not me on a recording, lol, and it was. I know, it's, you hear it sometimes, you think, that's not me. Benny Hill says, my brain had 4 tins of psych, and it will not be thanking me in the morning. Speaking of thanking me in the morning, I have actually got actual work to do. And Mike is about 7 now. I wish I was 7. No, I don't actually. I wouldn't wish this world on anybody. That's a bit of a downer to end the show. So, speaking of ending the show, I really should end the show because I can't believe how late it is actually, and I've got to be up for work in the morning, which sucks, and it's going to rain. Oh my god. And, oh, yeah, not looking forward to that at all. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us on this Saturday evening. Hopefully I've answered some of your questions, whether or not you can make your PC into a cheese grater, whether or not that works or not. It did seem to, a little bit. Not as ideal as an actual cheese grater, but it did smooth the cheese, if anything. Is that a thing? Smooth it?
Smooth the cat. That's what Bristolians are.
Here, mate, I'm going to smooth the cat. Yes, anyway.
Excuse me.
Oh, and there comes Trojan in with a 10 Aussie dollars. A super thank you sticker chat thing. I'll have to do the lights manually. Hang on. There we go. I'll give you your money's worth.
Sorry, Clingy.
Oh my god, she's ruining the place.
Sorry, me.
There we go. I'll do. Reach over. There we go. Thank you very much. So, thank you all so much for joining us on this Saturday evening. Hopefully it's been moderately entertaining. Maybe you've even learned a few things. Maybe you've actually lost some brain cells. I don't know. Maybe it could be a bit of both. I'm just glad the stream worked, and I'm glad the PC, having a fresh installation, has worked out pretty bloody well. Anyway, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next stream. Thanks for watching. Oh no, and now I've got to remember, which button is it to stop the stream? I think it's this one. Oh no, not that one. It's definitely not that one. It might be that one. Night everybody, see you next week.